right, everybody. I want to thank everybody tuning in to One Object tonight. What in the world do we got going on there, Chris?
It unmuted itself.
All right, everybody. Thanks for joining in to One Object tonight, guys. We got a really good show lined up for you. Hopefully that's the only hiccup we got. I mean, we did just move the studio to a whole nother room here. I actually was able to con my wife in to letting us move the studio over to the guest room. So, as of right now, we have guests over there sleeping on the couch because we have nowhere for them to stay right now. But we're making room, and we're eventually going to have a nice little futon in here for someone to stay. But
all right.
But right now, this is where we're at. You notice it's kind of bare right now. We didn't even have time to put our banners up. Just got all the camera software stuff all situated. Trying to work out the kinks with the sound a little bit. So, guys, if you are having any issues hearing us, or if Chris needs to turn up something or whatever, hearing our guests,
it sound okay on my iPad.
Everything sounds good right now.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, like I say, if you're having any issues and we see a pattern there, we'll start trying to correct some of it. I know sometimes people have issues just depending on what they're listening with. So, but anyways, guys, like I say, we got a good show. This is a fishing podcast talking about fishing podcast. I've been wanting to do something like this for a while. I wanted to get some guys on that had another fishing podcast and just kind of talk about, their experiences with it, why they got into it, but also just talking about fishing, and that's why we do these podcast shows. We have a passion for it. We love doing it, and it gives us an excuse to kind of get on here and talk fishing, and you get a chance to talk to a lot of big names in the industry, whether it's kayak fishing, the elites, the MLF, whatever area that you cover on your show. So, it's just a really great experience. We have a lot of fun doing it. It's a tough game, and you got to be thick-skinned when you do it too, because you just got some people who just blatantly don't like you. So it's just one of them things that you kind of got to get over the jitters of talking to a camera or talking to a mic, and just get out there and do it. If you're thinking about doing it, it's fun. I'm telling you, it's a blast. We have a good time with it, and like I say, I just encourage people, if you got the knack for fishing or whatever sport it is, if you like racing, or you like, I know me and Chris, we do iRacing a lot. I mean, if you're into gaming, stuff like that. I mean, there's so many different things out there you can do a podcast on. It's really fun. So, but before we get into that, I want to go and thank all our sponsors. We have got a great group of companies that support us, and we're going into, Chris, I don't know if you knew this or not. By the way, how are you doing?
We're doing fine.
I didn't even introduce you into the show. That's kind of rude of me.
If you've been here more than a day, you know who I am anyway.
Yeah. So thanks for coming in and helping again as usual. Chris is the, if you're new to the show, Chris is the man behind the scenes. He's the one that takes care of everything and trying to get sounds and talking to people. And Chris, you do a great job, and I really appreciate it. I know that's a tough job.
We try.
Yeah, you do. I mean, every once in a while we have bugs, but you can't blame it on you. That's software issues. So, but anyways, I want to thank all our sponsors, guys. I want to thank Yak Attack. I want to thank Missile Baits. I want to thank Falcon Rods, Ballino Batteries, Bonafide Kayaks, Native, RBT, Ron. He does a phenomenal job on painting crankbaits, and he's been getting into soft plastics, and makes buzz baits and all that. He does a really, really great job. So, but like I said, I want to thank all them companies, man. What I was getting to, Chris, when I brought you up, this is our 5th season.
Yep.
5th season. That's crazy to me that we've been doing this for 5 years now.
Yeah, started out on the couch.
Yeah, man. Like we talked last time, sitting on the couch.
Yep.
Then
you went from the couch to the kitchen.
Yeah, couch to the kitchen, and then we went to where did we go after that? Oh, then I went to the kitchen at our new home.
Yeah.
And then worked our way down to the studio, and then here we are in a bigger studio.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping we have some cool stuff in here soon. Like I just want some cool looking pictures, and I don't know, just need something cool, sprucing it up. But yeah. Anyways, we'll get it decorated here soon and get all our sponsor banners in the back and all that. So, but what time do we got right now, Chris?
Oh, it's
Chris trying to pull. Oh,
someone moved the taskbar.
Oh, yeah,
8:06.
8:06. But before we get into having Josh on, I man, it's been crazy, and I'm not getting into politics whatsoever. I don't do that on this show. I don't talk politics on this show.
Vegas is wanting to know if we shipped the Christmas giveaway stuff yet.
We are finishing up. I had to finish decals. That was the only thing. Let me tell you what happened with that whole story. I ended up losing the transfer paper, so I make the decals. So I ended up losing the transfer paper. I wanted to send out everything. Everything's done, ready to go. We had a bunch of other decals that had to be shipped as well that people ordered, so I had to get that stuff shipped out. But it's all going out tomorrow. All that's done tomorrow. And then, like, say, guys with UPS and United States Postal Service, right now things are crazy, especially United States Postal Service.
Oh, yeah.
I have never in my life. I mean, we got packages that customers are messaging us about that has been sitting in Richmond for I don't know how long. I don't. And they're saying they're on time. They're still on whatever they say, but they're just gonna be delayed. They're not lost. It's just delayed. So, anyways, I'm sorry.
Well, I was telling Brittany I ordered a cable for a printer before the 1st, and it's saying it's in Greensboro.
Yeah.
I just told them to cancel it. It's like, I don't need that bad. I didn't went and bought one now.
Yeah. I mean, that's a thing with stuff like that. You know what I mean? Like you wait that long. What do you do?
I could have drove to Greensboro and picked it up.
Yeah, you probably could have. So, but also we got some big things coming with One Objective here soon, guys. It's going to be crazy busy for One Objective here in the next several weeks. We've got some new products that's going to be hitting the market. I don't know. It might be at the end of this week, but it will be definitely next week. And that brings me to my next topic is if you go on our oneobjectivebf.com webpage, we have a sign up for the newsletter. So if you're part of our newsletter, when we come out with a new product, you will be the first to know. Our newsletter goes out on Thursdays. So you will get it first, and you will know about it first. Now, granted, it'll be up on our website, but we won't advertise it until after we send out our newsletter, and then Friday. So you'll have that opportunity to kind of get in an order quicker than most. And then we will also we don't do it all the time, but we will be doing some discounts and all that if you're part of our newsletter. And then also we'll have certain sales that it'll be on our site, but we really advertise it just on our newsletter. So make sure you go to oneobjectivebf.com, scroll down a little bit. You'll see the sign up for our newsletter. Chris, you're part of the newsletter. You get them.
Oh, yeah.
And we don't bother people with them. I'm not doing one every day, and I'm not doing twice a week or nothing like that. It's just once a week. It's got our newest videos that's come out, and we might start doing a little bit of blogging in there too. I don't know yet. I don't know how we're going to do all that. But
Craig says his Yak Attack order shipped Tuesday and is still sitting in Farmville Post Office.
Wow. Yeah, it's crazy, man. We shipped a couple of kill protectors out, and it left the post office there, went to Richmond. It's just been sitting there. I don't know what they do with the stuff. They just throw it in a box. We'll get to it later. Yeah. What time we got, buddy?
8:10.
8:10. Let's go ahead and call Josh from the Dark Waters Kayak Fishing Podcast.
Music. There he is. Oh, it says he's unavailable.
Uh-oh. Well,
I hope I got the right guy.
Yeah. Well, that should be it. But let me message him real quick and let him know that we just tried to call him.
It says call declined.
And see if that's the right one. But anyways, we'll try him back here in just a little bit, see if he messages me back. He said, I'll try again.
Okay.
Let's try this again.
There he is.
All right, buddy, we got you.
Sorry about that. I was watching on my phone and trying to do this at the same time. It's like this weird. Whatever. My apologies. I'm here now.
You're fine, man. Chris is going to build up your scene there. He's getting all that built up on the page. Like I say, just if you're doing it on a phone or whatever, just turn it sideways if you can. And
no, I'm on my laptop.
Oh, okay. Perfect. Man, I love that. You can tell he's a podcaster because he ain't just sitting there trying to do it on his phone. He's. But
no, not one of those guys.
Yeah. But no, I mean, while Chris is building up your scene there and getting you all set up, man, let's talk a little bit about your podcast and how long has your podcast? How long have you been doing your podcast now for?
Well, I've been podcasting probably about 2.5 years, but the Dark Waters podcast I started I don't know, like last December. Yeah, December of 2019 I started, and it's grown pretty good. It's gotten pretty big for me. So
yeah, you got some really great content. I listen to your stuff a lot when I'm on the way to the shop, and you got a lot. Like you get Casey Reeves on there. Casey Reeves is a good friend of ours, and we have him on our show a couple times too a year, and he's only like, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes up the road from me, from where I live at. So Casey's a great guy. And I was actually listening to your show you just did with Casey a couple weeks ago. And,
yeah, that was a fun one.
Yeah, yep. And great show. Like I say, you got some great content, and like I say, you don't hold back on that. I like that. It's not sugar coated. It's a good stuff, man.
Yeah, it's when I first heard about podcasts, I wanted to do one. I did the whole research thing, and I was looking up I think Steve Jobs and Apple were the ones who created podcasts or whatever, and it was all about broadcasting yourself. And I think I took that message a little too seriously, because that's pretty much what I do is just it's not that I'm not sugarcoating or anything. It's just but it's podcast. It's meant for me to broadcast who I am, and then try to get the other person to do it too. And it's supposed to be whatever conversation we're going to have, but I want it to be like a real conversation between people, not just me just trying to be something that's, and there's nothing wrong with doing that, but trying to be like a certain way so I can get a certain viewers or certain sponsors or something like that. I took the whole broadcast itself pretty seriously. So
yeah, and that's what you should do. Like with our show, we do everything. We shoot from the hip, man. I don't like having a page, and it's okay if you do that just to kind of stay on track and you have your ideas and things you want to talk about. But I hate having questions. We've had guests on, man, can you send me all the questions? I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to ask you.
Exactly. Yeah, they did it to me too. And I'm like, I don't even know what we're going to be talking about. I don't even know who you are sometimes. I'll just see someone who's on Instagram, oh, this guy looks cool. He caught a fish today. I'm going to talk to him on the podcast. And
yeah, and it's a great way too, man. You get to meet so many people in the community, and that's what I was talking about before we did the show here. It was I think, really, if you have something you love to do, like we was talking about gaming or hunting or, any of that stuff, man, you can do a podcast show, and it's cool how you learn from those shows as well. Yeah. We've had Elite Pros, FLW, even the Kayak guys. These guys are at a level to be pro, and some of them are. And you learn so much, especially when you talk techniques and all that, to take on the water with you. So, but talk a little bit what got you wanting to go into podcast. I know we talked about how long you've been doing it, but what was it that got you say, man, I think I want to do a fishing podcast? What got you there?
Well, yeah, I got into podcasts way before I got into fishing or competitive fishing. So I never thought I would have a fishing podcast. When I'm probably like most people. I learned about podcasts like the Joe Rogan Show, and it changed the way I looked at things, like how I want to gather information, and how the exchange of data is out, is put out there. Because before that it was just news clips and short or forms or whatever. It's all good, but it's the podcast. We can have people who have ideas or whatever hobbies, and they can sit there and really talk about it. And it can be a real conversation. If you're just sitting down, by a bonfire drinking beers and talking to someone about something. That's and that was it's a real cool way, that I like, that I kind of fell in love with right at the get go. And from then on, I always knew I wanted to podcast. It took me a while to get the guts to do it, because I'm sure what you guys have learned that, this stuff, it goes live and people hear it for a very long time, and it goes out there into the ether, and it's these episodes are out there forever. I guess. Yeah. I don't know how the internet really works, but so it took me a while to get brave enough to do it. And I think I started my first podcast with it was called Chronicles of a Badass Dad, and it was about being a dad and stuff. And I had a really good time with that. Had some great conversation with some great athletes. I talked to a few MMA fighters, a few somewhat successful rock stars, to just regular dads that I knew from the past that, they went through some stuff that I thought would be interesting to talk about. And it did really good, but it got, you got to be careful when you do these things, when you brand something, I guess, a certain way, and then you start going off what it was supposed to be, because you're just having, you get the conversations, and the conversations go where they go. Next thing you know, you're nowhere where you started, and so it kind of just I need to name it something else, and so I was thinking about what I want to do now, and I was like, well, you fish all the time, and what better way to network than to talk to people about fishing on a podcast. It's a 30, 45-minute conversation you can learn a lot in. So that's kind of why I started it. I wanted to just like really bring in like the community aspect of it, because that's what I really enjoyed about going to tournaments and things like that. It's like is there a way I can get that into like a podcast? Talk to someone like when we were sitting at the campgrounds, you're drinking beer, you're talking about fishing. That's kind of what I wanted to bring to like my podcast, which is it's difficult because everything we do is through Skype or StreamYard or whatever. But still, that's kind of where what it ended up being was just it didn't matter who you were. If you like fishing and you seem like a person that could hold a conversation, I was like, well, it worked out. And so I've talked to like a lot of people from, a few big boat pros to some of the best kayak anglers in the country to there's some people, I'm sorry, but I can't even remember your name, but I remember it being a fun conversation. But, it's just kind of how it is. It's just one of those, I don't know. I love that way of like communicating with someone where it doesn't have to be so serious and there's nothing really to it. As long as you're not camera shy, like you can have a really cool conversation with someone. And that's kind of why I enjoy the podcast, why I keep doing it, because it's just a cool way to put things out there and to share what's on your mind and hear what someone else is on mind, and people dig it. Like I am like podcast is the best thing to do to kill time. On that 30, 40 minute trip from working back, or you're heading to a tournament and you got like 16 hours to kill. There's 16 episodes of podcasts you haven't listened to that you can burn through on those long trips. So I don't know, it's been a really cool experiment for me. So
yeah, and that's us, man. It was just like we were on another podcast, the Basscast, and great guys. I like Brian, and I think he had and I think he still might do a podcast. I'm not real sure, but it just wasn't going in the direction that I wanted to see one go, and it's hard for me to go in and tell somebody, hey, we need to change this up because it's their show. You know what I mean? So, anyways, me and James, we've been buddies since high school, and I just called him. I was like, dude, let's just start a podcast. He's like, do you know anything about it? I'm like, yeah. I helped Brian with his, and I think we can figure it out, and let's just go in there and talk fishing. And then, you start getting them thoughts. You're like, man, is anybody going to like this? Am I going to sound like an idiot? But when I go back and listen to our very first one, and this is where we screwed up. We went big for our very first one. We had Mike McClellan on talking about jerkbait fishing. And that's what I wanted our show to be. Was I wanted to have fun, but I also wanted to learn. And I wanted people listening to learn. But I'm going big with never really talked to any pros before, and I'm like, and I go back and listen to it, I'm like, God darn, man, we sounded like we sounded just so nervous, and I was like, man, I'm glad we changed things up and got comfortable with this, but yeah, it is. That thought is in your head of that's just like starting a YouTube channel, the thought's in your head's like, are people going to like my stuff? Are they even going to listen to this, and then you got to be thick-skinned, man, because you are going to get comments that people don't like what you said, or don't agree with what you said, or they don't like something about your show. You know what I mean? You get that sometimes, and you just gotta be thick-skinned with it.
Yeah, you gotta be real. I mean, because you're putting your opinions out there, and fishing. The people that are in fishing, they're some of the most opinionated people I've ever met, and they're sometimes vicious with their thoughts, and sometimes, and it's. Especially if you're talking about a technique, I was talking, I've been having a few people talk about their techniques, and we were talking about different lines that they use for crankbait. Some people like mono, some people like fluoro, and I love hearing what everyone thinks. But some people think that their idea is the gospel or something, and they'll put that fire brimstone in you, in the comment section, or leave you a really cute review on Apple podcast or whatever, and said you just gotta go with it. It is what it is. I mean. You're not going to please everyone, and I don't want to please everyone. I like my circle being small anyway. There's just some people I don't get along with in life, and those are the ones who don't like my show, and that's all right because I got a lot of people who do like what I'm doing and do like my show and do send me incredible feedback and want to hang out when we meet at the boat launches. So you gotta have thick skin, but you also gotta realize that not everybody matters. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You can't. You're not gonna make everybody happy. And that's something that took me a little while to realize when I got into it. Somebody make a comment. I'm like, man, well, we need to change it up. And I'm like, you know what? I'm not changing nothing. I'll fix sound and I'll fix video quality and and the best I can with all that stuff. But when it comes to how we are with our show, I'm not changing. You know what I mean? Like, that's just us. That's just how we are, and that's how we're going to keep it. So let's talk about guests, man. I mean, like I say, you've had a lot of different guests. You've had a lot of good guests. Was there any, and you don't have to name them name, but have you ever had a guest that you about had to pry any kind of answers out? You know, like you ask a question, it's like one answer. Yep. Nope.
Yeah. And you do that, and it's like you can tell like the first few words, like, oh man, I gotta make this last for 30 minutes. You know, it's gonna be tough, you know, because they're great people, awesome anglers, but they're just not good at talking, and that's just, you know, the way some people are, and it sucks, but you know the show's got to be somewhat entertaining, and so you get through, and you're like, man. And what really sucks is that when that guy does really good at a tournament again, or he puts out something that you're like, I really want to talk to him again, but I don't want to talk to him again because it's the hardest 30-minute conversation that I could have. And so it's tough, man. It's to pry things out, to make someone feel comfortable. You know, that's one of the reasons why, you know, I am, you know, the way I do things has worked for me, because, you know, I'm drinking beer and I sound like a jackass half the time when I'm talking. So it's just like, so it helps people open up sometimes. It's like, well, if this idiot can do it, then maybe I shouldn't be so shy. You know, so I've had a few, but not a lot, because I think somehow I'm able to create like an atmosphere where people can just let loose and say what they want to say. Now the first few episodes was kind of tough, 'cause even I was, you know, super nervous or shy, and you know, but you know, you probably guys experience it too. There's like eventually when you hit that point where like you don't really care, like you've got someone under your belt, and then you get cocky. And it's not that it hurts you, because now I'm like, you know, I'll stop recording an episode. I'll be like, oh my God, I can't believe I said that. I'm gonna catch some stuff for that one. But you know, it took a while now. Where like, you know, it's like as soon as the episode's done, I pretty much put it. You know, once I upload it, I forget about it. I don't even listen to it again. I just go on like it never happened before. You know, I mean, it could be a great episode, it could be the worst episode, but I just don't, you know, you can't really go off of that anymore, because it's over and done with. If you learn something from it, that's great. But it's over and done with. You've already put it out there. People are gonna think what they want to think. So, but go back to your original question. I'm sorry. I kind of go off sometimes.
No, you're fine, dude. I'm the same way.
Yeah, but I know I've had some people that's been pretty tough to talk to, but I've never had anyone I didn't like having on.
Yeah.
I've just had people that were just really difficult to talk to, and it's just probably their upbringing, or the fact they didn't know that you know, people are gonna hear what they say. They don't want to sound like a jackass either, you know.
Yeah, and I get that. Especially you're getting in the kayaking world where guys are just getting into kayaks, you know, or they're just getting into the tournament scene, and you know, we got guys like us that are trying to help promote these guys and get acknowledgement to the sport and what these guys do. Some of them ain't used to any of that. You know what I mean? They go fishing, they have a good time, and then you're like, oh God, they want me. You know, they're excited about being on a podcast, but then when it happens, they're just like, they don't know what to say, or you know.
Well, there's a lot of that in the like the kayak community, because I mean, the sport got pretty big in like a very short period of time, and you look at all these guys that we had. I don't want to say his name, but the guy was a national champion, and you know, at the time I talked to him, he only had like 800 followers on Instagram.
Yeah.
But he's since got bigger, but it probably caught him off guard to realize like the attention that he was going to get. You know, coming on a podcast, like how difficult it can be to talk when you know people are watching and listening, and you're not used to being someone that's on a microphone. It's got to be overwhelming.
Yeah.
And it was really funny. It's like most of the guys who were at the top. In the kayak fishing community don't have like a strong, heavy. They're getting better now, but when I first started this podcast, they didn't really have anything. They're all really great anglers, but as far as like their social media game and their interaction with people, it just wasn't there. And it's great to see them now opening up. You're starting to see a lot more YouTube videos. Some of these guys, when they come on my podcast now, it's some of my favorite conversations, because they get it now. You know, they realize that like they've accomplished something, and they need to be recognized for it, and people appreciate when they come up there and talk on a podcast or do an interview or make YouTube videos, because a lot of eyes are on them now. You know.
Yeah, most definitely. Hey, Chris, is everything going all right with the show, or I just seen
that sound is back, and I don't know how to turn it off.
What sound?
That when people share the stream.
Oh, really?
It makes that loud noise. I turned the alert completely off, but they're saying it's still doing it, so I don't know. It might be something on Facebook side.
Or that, or did you do it on the labs?
Yeah, I turned it off on Streamlabs, but they said they're still doing it. So it might be something on Facebook, and I'll have to look into after the stream.
Yeah, sorry about that, guys. Yeah. So, but like I say, if you're tuning in, we got Josh Smith on. We're talking about his podcast, the Blackwater. What did I say? The Blackwater, the Darkwater podcast.
The Blackwater sounds cool. I don't know why you think of that. The Blackwater.
Yeah. But we're talking about podcast fishing shows. So like I say, we do apologize for the sound with that. That's the second show it's done. It didn't used to do that. I don't know why it's doing that all of a sudden. So yeah, but yeah, Chris will do all he can with that, and then we'll work it out after the show. So, but anyways, guys, like I say, make sure you check out his podcast, Dark Waters Kayak Fishing Podcast. He's got some great content, but we're going to let's talk a little bit about some fishing, man. And you do some YouTube as well, and
kinda.
Yeah,
I literally just started that a month ago, and it took a bunch of people to talk me into it, putting it on YouTube, because I'm not a video guy. And people think and you guys know this, it's not hard to do to start a podcast. If you got a laptop and you don't even need a microphone, you don't even need a headset, you can literally do it with just your phone itself. So, it's not like I'm putting 110% in this thing. It's it's 50%, and we'll see what happens. And so, I didn't want to start editing videos and doing stuff like that. But I guess it's what you got to do, and people like it. I didn't realize, I started looking. I wasn't seeing very many listenings on my per episode as far as on the Anchor app. But then I looked at my YouTube videos. I'm like, oh man, it's got 100 listens on that or whatever. Yeah. So it definitely did good for me. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with my YouTube, but I definitely got to start figuring out how I'm going to approach that platform.
Yeah, and YouTube, man, it's a crazy beast. You know what I mean, when it comes to getting views, getting subscribers, and just trying, because I know for us, I can go and we'll get this many listens on our podcast, and you post it up on your YouTube, and then but you can do a how-to video or a fishing video, and you just kill it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's just I've been trying to figure out the whole podcast thing, because a lot of times people watch it live here anyways. Then it can go over on our Facebook and kind of catch back up on it, So
right.
It's always, I don't know, YouTube and the podcast side for us doesn't do as good as our videos do, but I think you have to have it. You need to have your podcast. You need to have, your YouTube to go along with it. You need all social media platforms to go along with your podcast to help get it out there. Whether you get 50 views or 12 views, all it takes is one of them to share it, and then right one to share it, and it just keeps trickling down. But yeah, so for me doing the YouTube side, it's so much hard. We were going to fish tournaments this year, and we still are. We're going to fish a few, but I have learned that I am better off if I want to grow YouTube, is just go fishing and not fish a tournament. I don't know how Greg Blanchard and all them do it, because I get so aggravated. I lose footage. Yeah. I lose, you know what I mean? And then I'm I don't even care about the camera no more. I just want to keep fishing, because I don't want to keep messing with this thing. But are you going to try to grow that into more of filming all your fishing trips and being more open with that, or are you just going to try to keep it more of your show platform?
Probably more show. But even last year when I first got my first GoPro and I figured out how to mount my kayak, I started putting videos on Instagram all the time, short videos of me catching fish and things like that, just for a lot of reasons, but mostly for instant gratification, so I can feel better about myself. So I can see those likes and things like that. But as far as the YouTube, I don't know. The goal last year for the podcast was to do a lot more traveling, because the year before that I did travel a lot. That was before I had the podcast. And the goal was, the 2020 season I was going to keep traveling and kind of take the show on the road and kind of have a campfire type conversations with people at the campground, or at the award ceremonies. See if I can get a short 30-40 minute conversation at at a restaurant, drinking whatever. I was going to have more an interaction with people type. Most of my episodes were going to be like that during the summer or in the spring, but obviously, COVID happened. So, hell, we were all stuck in our basement for the first 3-4 months of that.
Yeah.
So, that didn't happen. That was the original goal. And that I thought would be, cool for YouTube, that kind of footage. But I don't know, I'm not that kind of angler, Greg Blanchard and those guys. I'm not, I'm okay. I'm decent. I can catch fish, but it's not impressive. If I make a video, the things I say and the mistakes I make are probably gonna be more entertaining than the fish I catch. So I don't really know what I would do with that. If I do, I plan on doing a lot of traveling this year, so I'm definitely gonna take the camera with me. But I don't think it's gonna be geared towards me fishing or anything like that. It's gonna be geared towards the same way my podcast is, towards just the interaction I have with people, the conversations I have, and whatever. I don't plan on being a very techie video guy. You're not gonna hear the cool music with the sunrise and then my beautiful kayak, going out into the water, and it's not going to be like that. Like it never is like that for me. I don't know if you watch my videos. They're more comical than they are like whatever serious. Like it'd be funny if you're into comedy, but that's about it. Like I'm not just not there yet. The things that Greg Blanchard does and some of the other guys, they just got it figured out, and that's just kind of their niche, and that's not my niche. My niche is the microphone, the ability to feel comfortable enough to say and do the things I do, because it's just the kind of world I came from. Like I am a clown. I am here to entertain, and so that's my niche. So I don't see a lot going on with the YouTube except kind of what you see now. Just maybe some more like face-to-face interaction with some of the anglers out there.
Yeah, for sure. It's a job, man. I mean, we finally got ours. I think we're at 4,000 some subscribers finally, and we've been doing this since 5 years now. And we finally found the niche of what people are liking. Like you try everything, right. and it, like say, it's tough. It's a job, and I give it to them guys like Greg Blanchard and Fluke Master and all of them. I mean, it's a nonstop job to be able to post content nonstop on YouTube, 2 to 3 times a week. I give them all the credit in the world for it, because it's tough, man. It really is.
Oh, and we need it. We need that kind of footage. I mean, I don't know how much I've learned just from Greg Blanchard's videos. Fluke Master, I watch a few of his stuff, but that's a kind of a responsibility I just don't want. Like when I go fishing, like I love the videotape, myself fishing and things like that. But I do that for like just self-interest reasons, not really to. I who doesn't want to? Back in the day, all you had was a photo. Now I got video footage of me catching my PB or something like that, and that's all the camera is for me. It's just like I said, like it's just the new pitch, like it's your new PB picture, and that's all I keep it for. But to sit there and I mean, I don't know how long they go out for, especially like someone like Greg Blanchard. Like, I don't know how long he goes out there, but I imagine it's a good 6, 7, 8 hours of footage nonstop. And then he goes home, and throughout the week, he cuts it up and edits it and then makes a really cool video. It's like, I don't even want to start with that, man. That's a lot of work I don't want to do right now for something like that.
Yeah. And like for us, when we do, like, say we release a product, you're trying to get your B-roll footage. And then if you don't do it, and then you're driving back, you're like, oh man, you didn't even get the right footage for this. Like we talked about installing it, or we talked about this or that, but we didn't get the B-roll footage. So, or we didn't get the thumbnail, or so then you're scrambling around. Like say, to make a video work right, to have at least a decent content, it takes planning and work. And and I will give it to Greg Blanchard, for the most part, his is pretty raw.
I love it. It's my favorite to watch. I don't think anyone does it like he does it. Yeah,
his is pretty raw, and I like that. I mean, if he has a bad day, he shows it. If he has a great day, I mean, it's a great video, But but he keeps it real. But let's kind of talk about some of your guests you've had. What was one of your favorite shows that you've done? Can you think of what was probably one of your favorite shows?
Easy. It's super easy. Catherine Fields. I don't know if you know her, but she's a 50-year-old. I'm sorry for putting her age out there, but she is, and she's proud about it. But I mean, like, the thing is, what I loved about her, I'm very lucky with like the way my show started and the way I approached it, because I didn't really have it in me to reach out to some of the bigger names and ask them on. But I was reaching out to all these like people who weren't really known, but I've seen on Instagram, or I met them at a tournament, and so some of these people, they're now everyone kind of knows who they are, like Jake Harshman. I talked to him like weeks before he won the Lake Seminole event. Jeremy, he just made it to the 10. I talked to him a year ago before he started cracking heads and getting into these big tournaments. And so I've been lucky that I was the kind of person that would just talk to anyone, because now these people are kind of blowing up. And Catherine Fields was one of those. Like when I met her, I don't even think she did any national events at the time. I just really love like how she put herself out there and was just very honest, and the things that she was doing. I'm like, oh, this is awesome. And so when I got her on here, it's just like, it was like one of the best conversations ever, to see like someone who, the middle of their life, finding this new passion. And then, after that conversation, she starts just traveling the country, like quits her job and like just goes after it, and I don't know why. I mean, it wasn't like she was a great angler who was like cashing checks, but she just, for some reason, she got this bug and this passion and just went after it. I'm like, it kind of put, some things in perspective about how I live and how I look at my life, and like, what's holding me back, and all these things. And it was a very, like, every time I talk to her, I've had her on probably like 3 or 4 times now. I'm just, I'm inspired every single time because she doesn't have to do that. When you look at someone like Cody Milton and, Casey Reed, Russ Snyder, these people, they cash checks. That's their livelihood, like almost their livelihood now. They have to do these things. And like there's just something like gratification they get from it, or like they get rewards for the things they do. And most of us are just we're just throwing money out for those guys. Gas money, hotel monies, entry fees, and most of the time we don't get anything in return for it. So it's kind of a hard thing to like stay motivated about all the time. But watching her and talking to her about it, it was just, I don't know, just very, it's like, sometimes you just gotta love something and just do it, like, and not really expect anything like great in return. Like, you might not be able to make money off the things you love. You might not be able to whatever, but if just doing something you love and putting yourself into it, I think is a reward of its own. And that's just one of the things that from that conversation, it helped me really put myself into the podcast and change the way I looked at like tournament fishing and things like that. Not just tournament fishing, but just anything that I want to do in life. It's just like do what Kat does. You know what I mean? Like live life like she does. I mean, it was one of those conversations. I was like, I'm pretty blessed I got to have that conversation, and it was pretty awesome to have it like on my show before people kind of knew who she was, before she kind of made like a name for herself.
Yeah, and she's really great because I like it. It doesn't. She's going through a lot. Especially the end of last year, mid of last year until now, she's gone through a lot, and she is so positive. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, everybody can learn a lot from her. You don't ever see her go in there and bash anybody or bash anything. She's such a positive person, and that's the kind of people you want to be around. You talk to Gerald Swindle and all of them guys, and they always talk about being positive and keeping the right people in your life that's positive. Because you get anybody negative, it can really hurt you and hurt whatever you're trying to do in life when the people around you. It's like a virus, Yeah. But yeah, to be positive through times like that shows you what kind of person they really truly are.
Right. And I think the good thing about someone like her story's not over; it's just beginning. But I mean, because of what she did, because of who she was and how she put herself out there, she's made some like great relationships with like some really great people. I'm pretty sure like her and Christine Fisher like bought a house together so they could be closer to the Kentucky River or whatever Kentucky. I don't know, but like she's got this this following or this circle of friends people who are just really good anglers and who love to be around her just because she's an awesome person. And you can only imagine, a year or two, like what kind of angler she's going to be because of the relationships like she's built now with some of these really good people. I look at her sometimes, I'm very jealous. I wish I was fishing with Christine Fisher, a few times of the year, or I wish I could go in a creek with Russ Snyder, and she has. And those people, because they love her, they love the hell out of her, and it's just one of those things, like just being a good person and putting yourself out there. Like sometimes you'll get something in return. It might not be a fat check, it might be a relationship, it might be a friendship or something like that could change your life, that could bring some kind of something great that you weren't expecting. So I mean, it's just everything about her story. It's one of my favorite stories. Like just in general, not just because of the podcast, but just in general. Yeah, for sure. Like I say, it. You get to meet those people, and those people bring like we was talking about it. They bring inspiration and positivity to people, and like got people like Russ Snyder and all them guys like that are up top in the kayak fishing world. Need people like that around, they need absolutely. People like that. So that I think that's why everybody is attracted to her energy, and right. The kind of person she is. So yeah. Is there anybody like for this year? Is there anybody that you really like to have on your podcast? Somebody you really want to interview? I mean, I'm really trying to figure it out because I am so I'm in a weird place. I'm interviewing the same people a lot now, and I don't mind that because. You learn like just who you vibe good, like because like it is about the podcast is about having like good conversations that are entertaining, and so I found like the people I like talking to, so I bring them on back over and over again because it's always a good conversation. But at the same time, I'm also trying to get like new people on there, so I don't know who because I've been so spoiled with all these good guests that I have. It's like it's hard for me to reach out to some people. It's like I'm like, are you gonna be one of those who don't really like to talk or something like that? So I haven't really. Like pinpoint like a list of people I really want to talk to. I have been reaching out to like a lot of the pro, like the big bass guy, the big boat guys. I talked to like Bradley Hallman, that was a fun conversation. Good dude. But all those guys haven't really returned my my message back, so I don't know if I can get that done. But those are some of the people I'd want to talk to, especially with like the sport of kayak fishing, like going into the way the direction it's going as far as like these guys are pros now. Like, what does that mean in kayak, or what does that mean in fishing in general to be a professional angler, and things like that. So I'm trying to talk to people who have been in somewhat the same business for a long period of time, and just trying to pick their brains about it. Like, what's it like to be Gerald Swindle or some of these guys who live on the road like literally like 10 months or 9 months out of the year, and even right now they're getting ready to go back out there and do it again. So there's really no rest for the wicked. So I don't know. Those are some of the people I want to talk to. I'd love to talk to some of the bigger names right now and kind of test my questions, because I feel like I have talked to a few of them, but I didn't do as good. I didn't do as good as I wanted to. I didn't ask the questions I really wanted to. I don't know if I was kind of star-shocked a little bit or just not used to asking those kind of questions. I think it's more it's a different type of person to talk to now. It's not like like I know how to talk to Russ Snyder. I know how to talk to Cody Milne. I've had Chad Hoover. I've had all these different people, and I've learned how to talk to them. But I haven't had like some of those big names and people who've cashed like gigantic checks, who are making a real living, not just a living, but like they live in nice houses off of the fish they catch. And so learn how to talk to those guys, I think, would be like what I'd like to try to accomplish this year. Just get like the bigger names so I can just test myself to see how well I can do when you're looking at someone like that who's really done it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And for us, like say when I talked about our first show with Mike. Mike, oh man, why did that just slip me? I cannot think of his last, Mike McClellan. And we had him on, and like I always looked up to him because I love jerkbait fishing anyways around Smith Mountain Lake. So having him on around the time that we were going to have him, it was just perfect. And I was nervous, but it was our very first show. But then, we started working our way up to these guests and locals that we had on, and I wanted to get Kevin Van Dam on, but I knew I wasn't ready. I wasn't. Yeah. In that point in life with doing podcasts, I have one because I was like, I don't want to ruin the show. I don't want to screw it up. So finally, last year, we had Kevin Van Dam on, and I was just like, I've talked to him several times at, media days and like that with Bassmasters. And so I kind of understood what kind of person he was, and I wasn't as nervous. But like, having guys like Mark Zona, we had him on, and that's a guest that I don't know if you've ever had on, but you need to get him on because he's such a great guy, and he's so easy to talk. He's like us, and a lot of these elite guys, for the most part, are like us. You know what I mean? They're just fish heads, and they love to get up there and just talk fishing. And you get some of them that are kind of like they just do it because they feel like they have to do it because either Bass or their sponsor said they had to. But like when COVID was going on, man, they loved it. They loved getting on talking fishing because they wasn't fishing tournaments at the time, and so they loved getting out there. Their social media game changed. They were doing more with that, and but yeah, I can understand that. Like there's guys that you want to talk to, but you don't know how to approach it, and talk to them. So yeah, that's how we were with Kevin Van Dam. That was the biggest one that I've always wanted to have on, and the other one I really wanted to have on was Bill Dance. And we talked to Bill Dance at the Classic and an ICAST, but then his daughter does a lot of social media stuff. But when you talk to them, they're like, all right, well, we need all the questions you're going to ask. We can't stray from the questions. And I'm like, I didn't even try it. Like that's too much work. I can't do that.
Well, I think like my thing is I try to be original with my content, which can be difficult because, everyone wants to talk to these people. And so, but one good thing about me is not a lot of people are like me as far as whatever. I don't know if you actually listen to my shows, but there's a lot of cursing, beer drinking, and who knows where the conversation is going to go. So I found if I stick to that, it's probably going to be a show that's not like the Paddle and Fin or like you guys or like whatever. It's going to be the Dark Waters. However. Yeah. It's taken me a while, and I've gotten used to people, but I don't know. Like Christine Fisher, I really want to have her on the show, and we've talked, and she said contact me next week, and I purposely don't contact her because I get nervous. It's not because I'm scared of Christine Fisher. It's because it's like she's such a powerhouse, right? She's such a she's got so much going for her. I mean, not only is she a great angler, a beautiful woman, but she's out there trying to change the culture. She's out there like putting all these good things, for women and fishing in general, and then it's like do you really want to corrupt her? Do you really want to bring her on your show and put your dark stamp on? It's like, no, it's like, 'cause who knows? I mean, like, I don't know what I can say of the show, but like, I've had some pretty obscene shows where it's like, oh, dude, like if they could kick me off, if they could shut my podcast down, there's someone right now who would love to shut it down. With some of the conversations I had. So it's like, I need, I'm sure she doesn't care because I've seen her in videos and she's pretty raw herself. But still, at the same time, when you look at these people, some of them are very super religious, and there's nothing wrong with that. I'm just not, and I don't want to people act like I don't care, but it's like I do care. I don't want to bring you on my show and then offend you because you were nice enough to come on here in the first place, and I got an issue with like controlling my potty mouth or whatever. So it's so it's like a lot of those people I'm very like there's been a bunch of people I just like I really want to talk to them. I just don't know how. And I'm not saying I can't stop cursing, but it's still at the same time it's like that's kind of the show. It's kind of like what it is, and that's the kind of conversation, and that's what I expect, and that's what some of the listeners kind of expect. And so it's like I've held off on people just because of who they are, what they have accomplished, and just kind of like what they want to do. Like Jack Snora, I might be able to have him on the show now because he's 18, but last year he was 17. I don't know if do I got to get like parental consent before I get on the air or something like that. So that's kind of like a tough spot about my podcast is that I got to be careful that they know that like I might be 6 beers deep on this, guys. I might not have a filter on this episode. So there's a lot of things that I got to be consider. I got to consider the other person before I try to bring him on the dark waters.
For sure. Hey, Chris, you said we got some questions coming in, bud?
Yeah, Clay wants to know what would be your biggest tip you would give someone starting to do YouTube?
Is that just do it?
Yeah, exactly.
Just do it. It's the same thing with a podcast. Like, you just got to do it because you're already nervous, you're already scared. But the good thing is, no one's really going to care at first.
No.
So you're the only person that cares at the beginning. And then once you figure it out, and then you'll start getting people later on. But at the beginning, no one's going to care about your YouTube video, your podcast. And so there's no reason to really think about too much about it. Except just do it. And then, but before you go into it, at least have one thing I would definitely stress is have a plan on like what do you really want to do and what you really want to it to be about. And that goes everything from like the name of what you're doing to the graphics, like the logo. Those are, to me, if you ask me, those are 2 important things because it gives you an idea. It's like the cover of a book. It gives you an idea what it's going to be about. It's not necessarily the meat and potatoes, but at least when you have that established, like people got an idea. But that's it. Like just do it and do it, and then if it sucks, keep doing it. And if it always sucks, but you enjoy it, then just keep doing it because what does it matter? Like you're broadcasting yourself or it's your YouTube video. It's no different than your Instagram. It's yours. And people can either like it or they won't. But there's always going to be like the thing is like what I've noticed that there's going to be someone that likes your stuff.
Yeah.
And that's the best thing about it. Like I don't know if the whole kayak community likes me, but the few hundred people that do like me, like if I see them at a tournament this year, we're probably gonna shotgun beers because they know that's how I do things. So we're probably gonna be at the boat launch shotgunning beers and listen to Hank or something. I don't know, but that's kind of how it goes, And that's you just do it.
Yeah, and you're right, especially, and that is something I wanted to touch base on was your name and your logo is everything. Like that is it. So if you name yourself out of something that you would like, so like for instance with let's talk about gaming. Like me and Chris like iRacing, and you go in and you name yourself something with iRacing or racing, but you love fishing and outdoors. Now you've kind of put yourself out of that realm, So you got your logo and your name is everything when it comes to that because branding is everything. But yeah, that's the best tip. Is like I say, just do it and plan out where you want your content to go in the next 5 years. And what kind of content you want to do. That way, when you brand it and logo it, it all goes together, So that's something I always try to tell people, too, when it comes to business or anything, And you got to treat this like a business. It's fun, but you got to treat it like a business, too, when you do it.
And don't have crazy expectation. That's you're not going to get sponsors right away. I don't even know if I have true sponsors. I got people that support the show, but you don't know. Like, I mean, like I've been doing this, for over a year, and I've watched some of my peers – they got fishing rod sponsors now. So at times I get jealous, but it's like, it's good for them that they have that, and I'm so happy for them. But like, I shouldn't have like these like the same expectations or anything like that because who knows what success is going to be for me. I don't know if it's going to be more listeners, a bigger following, a cooler following. I don't know if it's going to be sponsors. I don't know what success is going to mean to me. Like right now, I feel like I've been really successful, but I don't have a dime to show for it. But I feel like I'm truly blessed with like the people I had that listen to my show, the people that come on my show, and things like that. Like there's, that's, you can't just think that this is going to be what it's it for you, that you're going to get sponsors, that you're going to be able to make some money off this, or that you're immediately going to be, popular or whatever it is. Like you don't know. So all you can do is like just put stuff out there and just see where it goes, and do it with like realistic expectations, not like some weird fantasies of what you want to be, because you're only going to be what you are, and the people who like you are going to be who they are, and that's just going to be what it is until as you go on, you'll see what success is later on. But there's no instant gratification in this. There's no like I said, like there's no sponsors beating down my door at all. So you can't go in it with that. You got to really enjoy what you're doing, enjoy the content you're doing, and be happy that there are people that are enjoying it as well. Yeah,
and if you go into this with the intentions of I want to be famous or I want to make money, you're doing it for the wrong reasons anyways. And, or you want to get sponsors. And don't get me wrong, it helps build your brand. So if you want to fish tournaments, for instance, like Casey Reed and him, Casey's a great angler. Casey's a great dude. But him doing the tournaments, and, you can go out and win tournaments and do really well and make checks and all that. But you also need that social media side.
Yep.
And that name or your logo, like, a lot of pros have Kevin Van Dam, for instance. Look at his logo, When you see that stamp on a spinnerbait pack or a crankbait pack, who's the man that was behind that, So, but like say, social media and all that is big with building your brand. And like say, going into it, you can't get let down really easy. You can't, you got to be able to know that, all right, my first video's going to come out, I might get 3 views. You might do something super cool and everybody shares it, but most of the time it's not. You're going to go into 1 to 2 years probably, not unless you just got some killer content and great editing and can do it, post a video every other day. Are you going to grow like super quick? It doesn't happen like that for everybody. I'm going to call the 1%ers that start a YouTube channel and all of a sudden at the end of the year they're at 100,000 subscribers. It's very rare that happens.
Very rare. I think my last piece of advice would be is that, like, especially if you're doing like a podcast or a YouTube video, like if you do something like there's been a few episodes where I'm like, this episode sucks. But I was on a thing where I was putting out 2 or 3 episodes a week, and it's like you gotta maintain that. And so like and then not that, but like if it sucks, it's okay. Like I still put it out there. And I'll get mad at myself. But it's good because sometimes, I hate to say it, but sometimes like putting out something that's bad is actually good for you because it makes you. Because I feel like you need to be embarrassed or feel embarrassed sometimes, so it helps with the next one. You know what I mean? Because there have been a few episodes where it's like God, you drank too much. That's that one, or you asked some dumbass questions on that one, or something like that. But I'm like, and like there have been times where I'm like, I'm sitting there with my finger like, do not hit upload. Do not hit upload. It's like, no, don't be a coward. You hit upload. Let people know that you suck sometimes too, and then the next one you make sure it's badass. And so. Like if you're making videos, put it out there. Put it out there. If it's, because you need, like, the thing is, it's nerve wracking anyways. And so once you get used to like embarrassing yourself or putting out things that aren't the best, but you do it anyways because it's going to make you better down the road. Failure, I still believe, some of the things, I know it's kind of a cliche thing, but I think you learn a lot and you get better, through like failures or things that you're not necessarily the most proud of. But, I've gotten better because of that. I've gotten more comfortable. Because I was able to put out my most embarrassing stuff, I'm less embarrassed now about some of the decent stuff I do. And most of my stuff is only decent. Very often do I ever hit a home run with this stuff, but still, it's just I think you got to put the bad out there just as much as the good. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you just got to post it and go with it. Chris, do we got any other questions or anything like that? I hate to put you on the spot there, but just everybody just kind of chit-chatting and did that sound go away or?
Yeah, because nobody shared the stream.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good. I guess.
Everyone stopped listening.
Yeah. We still got a few people in here. So.
Those are the hardcore guys. I like them.
Yeah. But yeah, so, oh man, I forgot where that question was going to go. But anyways, I hate when that happens. But no, let's talk a little bit. We'll go over one more thing here, and then we'll let you get going. I know it's getting late, and we got our next guys from California. They're
my man Shane. That's a good dude.
Yeah,
I love watching. He's been like, if I had to pick a second guest that's in my favorite, it'd be him because he hustles, dude. Like when I first talked to him, I think he placed like 9th at the bass event up there in California.
Yeah.
And like that was a problem, because like Paddle and Fin, like, and all those sneaky dudes were like getting all the first place winners. I'm like, all right, well, watch this. I'll talk to number 9. And so I talked to him, and he ended up being one of like the most hustling dudes I've ever met. Like from that time, from being like just a 9th place finisher that no one really knew who he was, he's like, dude, this guy's giving away like kayaks and motor guides away on his Instagram site, and now he's got it's like see, like that's what happens. You come on the dark waters, you get famous one day. So yeah, good dude.
Yeah, it's we're excited to have him on. We've been talking. They're actually one that helped us get into a dealer over there for our products, and just he's helped us out a lot on the California side. And he was actually one of the ones that we really started seeing like our products on somebody else's YouTube channel, and I'm like, holy crap, we make that, So it was pretty cool, and finally having the last couple of weeks having some good conversations with him, and looking forward to talking with Alex and all that. Chris, you said we got a question?
Yeah, Clay was wanting to know is how big is it that you get a good title for a video, and does YouTube push more videos with certain names, with certain types of names?
That's outside my area of expertise.
Yeah, well, do your research. That's what I always say. With YouTube is do your research when you're doing a video and you want to title it. Do your research. Find out what the top videos are.
Don't your tags have a lot to do with that?
Your tags have a lot to do with YouTube videos. I see a lot of YouTube videos that should be better than they are because they're great. They're great content. They're great. It's a great story. It's great whatever, and they got 200 views. And I'll go through and got some stuff that I can go through. I can look at tags and what people use and this and that, and I look and I'm like, God dang, man, like you need to step it up with some tags, So but tags and all that's important, to do that. So but yeah, I mean, your thumbnail and your title needs to be something that is something somebody's looking up. Like you need to whatever you did in that video, you need to try to title it to where when someone's searching, that's something they're going to type in. That really helps. And that's the same thing when it comes to podcasting. When we was talking about your title and your logo and all that, I mean, Dark Waters Kayak Fishing Podcast. I mean, if somebody goes in and types in on iTunes Kayak Podcast, his name's going to come up. His show is going to come up. That's for us, One Objective Bass Fishing. If you go in and type in bass fishing, ours comes up first. That's how I set this up, to try to have that there when someone goes searching. Because if I know how I search on iTunes, when I go in and search a topic, I type it in, and that's how it comes up. I've done kayak fishing before, and that's how I know Dark Waters will come up, So, yeah, tags and titles and all that. It's a big game, and algorithms, and, man, it's a lot that can go into it that you can about drive yourself nuts with it. But if you don't do it, it's kind of determines how well your channel does, if you don't have great content. If you got just horrible content, which you might think it's great. So, I hate to say horrible content, but if you got content that ain't that great and you got it titled up great and all that, you're still not going to get the views. You know what I mean? So work on good content and just do your thing and do your channel and you'll be good, So, but we got anything else there, Chris, before I go in anything else?
No.
One last thing here, and the reason why I asked this, because I don't look at this whatsoever. We was actually on a Paddle and Fin one time. I think it was Paddle and Fin, or was it another podcast? I can't remember. That we was asked this question, so I figured I was like, man, I'm gonna ask Josh this. Do you ever get to a point where you're like, you feel competitive against another podcast?
Dude, absolutely. I don't know why. It's worse than that, man. It's worse than that. It's actually jealousy sometimes.
Yeah.
Because I put a lot of work into it, and like Paddle and Fins over there just crushing it. They got a rod sponsor, they got this sponsor, they're starting their own trail series, and they're just doing great things over there. And then I look over at my show and I'm like, I'm not doing it, because there's that competitive nature to me, and I don't know why. Because it's not like like we're battling for airtime on public on network TV. Like we're not battling for anything. Like as soon as they get listening to like their favorite Paddle and Fin podcast, then they can come over and listen to the Dark Waters. You know what I mean? So, but I don't know why I get like that. But it's like sometimes I'll watch some of these other guys that get a sponsor or do something great, don't wrong. It only takes me like 5 or 10 minutes, and I'm like, all right, you're just being dumb. And I'll immediately go congratulate him because I am happy for him. But yeah, sometimes I just look at it, I'm like, well, why isn't that happening to me? Why isn't that happening to me? I'm like, well, it's probably because they don't drink 12 beers and start cursing. It's the company probably likes them more because they're more, family wholesome or whatever. You're not, so you got to wait for that beer company, or you got to wait for the that lure that that's where that fishing pole company that has like an edge to them that's going to want to sponsor you. But you can't, like, we're not the same show, so why would I expect the same results? And like I said earlier, it's like success is going to be different for everyone. I don't know what their viewers are, but I know what mine are, and I got that for just doing what I'm doing, and I need to be happy with that instead of worrying about what they're doing, and instead of just praise everyone for just doing what they're doing, and they're all, I guarantee they're all happy over there. So why do I care?
Yeah,
that much. It's like, dude, I want them to be happy. There's some good friends of mine, and they've been very supportive of my podcast. And it's not just Paddle and Finn; they're just easy to pick on because I could probably beat them all up in a fight. But it's like but even like the other podcasts, like KBN and some of those, you just see like KBN got like a vodka sponsor. I'm like, I like vodka. I like vodka a lot. Why don't I have a vodka sponsor? And but I drink a lot on this show. Like, why don't I have an alcohol sponsor?
Yeah.
I just don't have one yet. Doesn't mean I'm not going to get one. Maybe someone's listening right now. They're like, well, Josh, we'll give you some beer, but sometimes I get real competitive. I don't know why. It's stupid. It's childish. But then again, like, how old am I really? I'm 37, but I have like a 12-year-old sometimes. So it's
we're fishermen, and when you are a tournament fisherman, you have a competitive edge, but like you say, you fish against guys that when you look at the leaderboard and you're like, oh, go figure. Figures he'll catch them,
Yeah.
But then you're like, you know what, man, I'm happy for him because he puts the time in, you know what I mean? And he does it, so you're happy for him. But there's also that stupid part of us, I guess because we're men or what, and you're like, God darn it, why does it always happen to him,
Yeah.
But when we was asked that question too, and I was like, I don't ever feel competitive against another show. The only time that when we first started doing this, I'm gonna say our second year into it, towards the end of the second year, we were starting to grow. We were starting to get the wheels spinning and doing good and growing, and had some sponsors. And then you have guys that come in, and like, we were really good at getting the interview quick. If somebody won an event, I was always on my game, and I would get them quick and get them in. And then if somebody did the interview, then you're like, oh, screw it, man, I ain't gonna do it. You know what I mean? Why? How the heck did they get it before me?
Right,
and you're like, and then finally I was like, you know what? Some people might not listen to their show that listens to ours, or vice versa. And I just got over that kind of childish game, and I love seeing. That's why I wanted to have you guys on. I love seeing other podcasts grow because, like, you're right, we're not competing for airtime. That anybody can go back and listen to our stuff at any time, and if they want to listen to that show, they can, and then come over and listen to mine, or vice versa. So, but yeah, that's what I was just wondering. I wondered if you've ever had that in your mind, and I'm glad you were honest about that because I think we all do. I think if you asked every podcaster out there, they'd say the same thing.
I guarantee Paddle and Finn's jealous right now that I'm on one objective. So, I got him. This is my win.
Yeah.
Got you, Brian.
Yeah.
But why wouldn't I get competitive? And it's okay. I think it's healthy. I just think you need to realize sometimes when you're being childish, like if I don't call or text them and say congrats, like what kind of human being are you? Like, those are your friends. They've been supportive for me from the get go. It's okay for me to get jealous sometimes. It's okay for me to like. It's like, I really wanted something that Douglas Rod's because Douglas Rod, they sponsor them. They're from Syracuse, New York. I'm from Syracuse, New York. How does Paddle and Finn come to my backyard and take my free rods? You know what I mean? I don't get it, but they did.
Yeah.
And so but the thing is, like, they earned it, and then I should be happy for them because they're my friends and I want them to be successful. So, like I said, it's okay to be competitive in nature. Like, it's absolutely fine. But like at the same time, like you need to like give those guys their dues and say thank you for being friends and being supportive. And I'm so happy that you guys are doing so well, and I want them to grow just as much as us, as my podcast. So it's good, but you got to put it in check sometimes, and you got to realize when you're being an idiot.
Yep, man, that's awesome. I like hearing you talk like that and talk about that, and I give it to them guys at Paddle and Fin. Like,
they hustle, dude. They hustle so much.
I'm like, how do you even have that much to talk about?
Yeah,
like,
dude, like. Every day, like I get a thing on my announcement on my phone. Paddle and Finn got a new episode. Paddle and Finn got a new episode. It's just like, Jesus, guys. All right, I guess I'll go record 3 this week, you know?
Yeah. I'm like, there for a while we were doing them every Sunday, and then towards the end of the year we got things slowed up. I'm just trying to do family stuff, and I'm watching some of these guys still going, and I'm like, how in the world? Now we're starting to fire back up. You're getting into efficiency. The time's starting to get right and wanting to talk to everybody. And we'll do a show on a Sunday, and they're still steadily just posting and posting and posting. I'm like, man, I give it to them. That's hard work. It's not easy doing a show. It's a lot just setting one up, depending on your guest. If you got somebody that's, I hate to say smaller. I don't ever like comparing people like that. But if you got somebody at Kevin Van Dam's status, it's hard to, you got to line that up. And that's not like Thursday, hey, can you come on my show Sunday? That's 2 weeks from then, hey, can we get you on this date? And we're going to talk about this, and then it's just a lot of work to get them guys on there, and it's hard, and that's what people need to understand too about these guys that do these podcasts. It's tough. It's tough work. It's fun, and I ain't complaining that it's hard, but it is like just getting everything lined up right, and sometimes they don't. So when it don't line up, then you're like, oh crap, now I got who else am I going to get? So. But no, man, I really appreciate you taking the time to come on with us tonight. Where can everybody follow you at? You're on all social media platforms, right? Instagram, Facebook.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure if you just type in like Dark Waters Fishing or Dark Waters Kayak Fishing, like you'll find me on anything. I'm on YouTube. I think Instagram is specifically like Dark Waters Fishing or something. I'm horrible. I should know this, right? But I don't. It is what it is. But yeah, I'm on there somewhere. Just find me, dude. And if you subscribe and if you follow me, like, dude, I love hearing from people. Reach out to me, call me a jackass or, hashtag, chug a beer with Josh, whatever. Like, I'll chug a beer for you. I got some crazy goons, man. Like, I love what I got going on as far as like my listeners. They're listeners, they're friends, they're bros, they're sisters. I mean, I have a good time with my social media platforms. So, find me, reach out to me, message me. Don't ask me specific fishing questions because I'm just not that good. But, we'll definitely find someone that knows the answer, but still, I love the interaction, and I love my social media platforms.
Yeah, and on your podcast forums, you're on iTunes. Is there any other ones that you have signed up for, or do you just kind of?
So I'm still going through the Anchor app until I find something better. But the Anchor app puts me on everything. I'm on Spotify, iTunes, and like all the other ones I don't really know. I think there's like a Pocket Cast or something like that. That I'm on a bunch of them, but the big ones I'm definitely on, like Spotify, Apple, the Google one or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
I'm all over the place. And then now I got a YouTube.
So yeah, you're getting big time. So,
hopefully.
Well, Josh, I appreciate it, man. It was good talking with you, and I look forward to seeing your show grow even bigger. I hope big things for 2021, and man, I hope to see some more fishing action out on the water. I love watching some of your little short videos of on the water and catching fish and all that. So good luck to you this year, man.
All right. Well, thank you guys. You guys have been doing it longer than I am. I've obviously have learned a lot from you guys as well. I'm definitely not going to be doing the live stuff, but as far as some of the other things you guys are doing, I've definitely learned something. So I appreciate you guys having me on the show, and everyone that listen. Can't thank you guys enough, and we'll talk to you guys again soon.
All right, man. I appreciate it, buddy. You have a good one.
Yep.
Thank you. Bye. All right, man. That's fun. I had a good time with it. I like talking to somebody else that does a podcast show. I love talking fishing with a lot of our great guests, but I love talking podcast and all that. And like I said, I want to apologize again for the sound. I don't know what's going on with that. I don't know if they updated something.
Well, it's turned off over here, so I don't know if it's Facebook doing it or what. I don't know.
Yeah. Or maybe it takes a while for it to push over or something. I don't know. Because it got better. It got better last show, right? Like towards the end, or was it just because
I guess it did. Nobody said anything else after I turned it off. So
I need to go back and listen. I don't go back. I'll do my editing for the iTunes. When I put it up on for our podcast and all that.
Yeah.
But I don't listen to the whole show, so sometimes I don't catch some of that. I just make sure all my sound levels are right, and I don't cut out nothing, as y'all can tell that listen. I don't cut out, I hardly ever cut out anything, not unless it is like something horrible. We have some issues with the show or something, and we lose it for a little bit. But other than that, I don't cut nothing out. So I need to go back and listen to that. But yeah, I do apologize sincerely for that. I don't know why it's doing that. But guys, if you don't mind, go out and check out Josh on the Dark Waters Kayak podcast show. really great stuff. Like I say, he does. You know, you don't want your kids listening to it, but like I say, he's talked about that on the show. He's very open. He don't sugarcoat nothing, and I like that. But like I say, you just that's up to the parents if you want to let them listen to it. But he's a great guy. From what I've just listened and like I say, talking with him, super great. And I hope his podcast show keeps growing and getting even bigger. So, but guys that are just tuning in, I hate to tell you to share it because I know that the whole sound and all that. But if you don't mind, share it. If you're still here with us, I see it keeps going up and down. But
Yeah.
if you're still here, share it if you don't mind. Also, go on oneobjectivebf.com. Go down to our newsletter. That's something new we're trying to push. And sign up for our newsletter. Like I say, we're going to be having sales on there. It's going to be our newest videos. We'll be doing when I do the newsletter, it's Thursday. It's only one time a week that I'll share. It's on a Thursday. Most of the time I try to share it around lunchtime. It'll be what our podcast show is going to be if we have everything planned out by then for that coming up Sunday. So, and like I say, you can opt out of it at any time, but that's where we're going to do some of our sales and discounts for all the people that are signed up for our newsletter. So,
Clay wants to know if we throw any of the bigger soft body swim baits like the Scottsboro tackle ones.
I have not thrown in. You talking about, what do you say, big body swim baits?
Or the bigger soft body swim baits.
I've thrown some Kayak stuff a little bit bigger. I actually got some of the Mega Bass. Oh man, what do you call them things? I wish I had them sit. I got a whole pile of tackle sitting over, and I don't know which one it is. The Mag Draft. I just got some of those. But I've never been a real big swim bait fisherman until I went down to Chickamauga and was throwing some of the smaller ones. My buddy Alan got me into throwing them on the river a little bit, which I had okay success after that, but not great. But until I went down to Chickamauga, man, was I really catching fish off swim bait. So this year is going to be a learning experience. I'm probably going to be doing a lot more YouTube with out on the water with some swim baits this year, especially in the spring when some of them big fish are up. So we got any other questions or anything going on?
No.
All right, let's go ahead and get Shane on from
Call Shane first.
Yeah, let's get him on and get him set up. We're going to have two guests on, guys, so bear with us just getting everything set up. We're going to have Shane on, and then we're
Should already be set up.
All right, and then we're going to have Alex on there too. So, but if the sound's been great other than the annoying sound, let us know. Also, one thing while Chris is getting that set up, we are doing a thing on our web. What am I talking? I can't even get my words out. On our web page, that if you have any like One Objective product installed on your boat, if you can take a picture, and send it to us through. We'll get back to that in a second.
Oh, sorry.
No, you're fine. You're fine. I told you to do it.
There he is.
Hey, Shane, we got you, man. We got
What's
you.
up, guys? How's it going?
Oh, man, doing pretty good, buddy. How about yourself?
I'm doing all right. Enjoyed seeing Josh on there.
Yes. That was a fun show, man, or a fun segment of the show. I really enjoyed talking to another podcaster. That's why I'm going to enjoy, talking with you guys tonight and just talking podcasts and talking fishing. I wanted to talk a little more fishing, but, we ran a little over, so want to be able to talk. Y'all got a lot going on in California this year with a lot of big events. You also got an event that you're helping with as well this year that thankfully you helped us get involved with it as well. And very thankful for that and the work that you've done helping One Objective. But like I said, I want to get you guys on. Y'all are just starting up. You've had the Bass Thumbs for a while now. That's been your name on Instagram and Facebook. You've had that going on for a while. You've kind of built up your brand. And then you're getting into podcasting. How long have Chris? We got Alex on yet, or are you still building that up?
Oh, okay, yeah. Let's see here.
Chris is still trying to get Alex going there, but let's talk a little bit. How did you come up with Bass Thumbs? What was that you was like, man, this is it. This is what I want to do.
First thing I want to ask you, Josh, is that have you ever asked a buddy you're fishing with all day? Have you ever looked over?
There he is.
Hey, man, my thumbs.
Hold on 1 second. Oh, yeah, I know what you're saying. It's breaking in where Chris is getting him on real quick.
Okay.
There we go.
Oh, okay. All right, he's getting him in here now. All right. Trying to.
We got him on there. He's on there. You just can't see it on the TV, but he's on there.
Okay. So what you saying? You ever looked over your buddy and talking about your thumb?
Yeah, have you ever looked over at your buddy after a long day on the water, catching a few fish, and said, "Hey, man, feel my thumb, dude. Look at this thing. It's all ripped up."
Yeah. That's how we always picked on one another who caught more fish. You know what I mean? Like,
Exactly.
me and my buddy Alan or Chris or something, you know, if they didn't catch nothing, I'd be like, man, my thumb's really rough. Feel that thing. Why is it like that? You know?
Well, kind of.
But so that's how that guy going. And he was like, man, bass thumbs, and that's great. I love it because it's such a broad spectrum there where you can cover so much. It's everything bass fishing. It don't matter if it's a bass boat, kayak, bank fishing, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. So like, I want to say 9 years ago, somewhere around there, 8 or 9 years ago, I started the page Bass Thumbs Fishing. With the Bass Thumbs Fishing, I started the slogan "Keep Your Thumbs Ripped," and I think just that in itself just started to relate with a lot of people that bass fish, and slowly but surely, and you know, it started to just kind of blow up a little bit, and I was getting excited about that because I was just fishing out of my float tube. It was all fun fishing. We were going down to one of our local lakes and, you know, catching them there, and no tournament fishing, nothing like that. And people just started sending us their pictures of their thumb all ripped up, and some guys are sending pictures of the big fish and stuff, and we started to kind of be like almost like a reshare page in a way. Shared some memes back when the memes were kind of going off early in the fishing Instagram kind of community, and we started to gain some traction. And I gained like 7,000 followers in about a year, I think. And then it's been a little bit slower, but recently we've kind of picked up again with what we've been doing out on the West Coast and fishing out of a kayak now competitively. And it's just been fun, man. It's been a passion of mine for a long time. And it's just exciting to kind of see all that, you know, constant work with creating content. And I have a YouTube channel as well. And now we started this podcast up, which is a fun new platform for us. And I'm just kind of seeing where it goes and having a blast while I'm doing it, dude.
Yeah, it's awesome. I've been watching you for a little while now, and then now, like I say, you're getting your podcast. And Alex, we got you on, man. I appreciate you joining us tonight as well.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about how everything came together. You know, and Alex, how did you meet up with him, and how did this start?
Well, we kind of met at a tournament down in San Diego, and I had a kayak with a trolling motor on it, and it was kind of exactly what Shane was looking for. So the conversation kind of just started with him and, I don't know, about 4 or 5 other guys all kind of looking around at how I set up some of the connections and battery and the motor mount and everything like that. And I think two days later, they got my phone number and we started talking, and it was like 2, 3, 4 hours later, we're still on the phone, all talking, you know, which connection, what gauge wire, all this kind of stuff. And then the next day we started talking, and the next day, and then the next day, and it just kind of turned into this relationship where we're talking, you know, 2, 3, 4 times a week, and it's nothing but fishing. And then we got on the water together and started kind of sharing some ideas and some techniques and stuff like that. And I think that was in the beginning of 2019. So that we had a full season of tournament fishing, and then kind of just with the world now, you know, we're still talking just as much as ever, but now I think there's some good quality conversation, and there's some other guys that we've kind of accumulated in this group that we have in Southern California. And, we just said, you know what, if we have some extra time, let's put a podcast together. 1, it's free. 2, we're not doing anything differently other than actually recording what we're talking about. Yeah. And we might be able to bring on some interesting people. And so that's kind of where, you know, we decided to tie in the Bass Thumbs Fishing, because he's already got this platform and YouTube. And I'm a little bit more of the technical person as far as editing and cutting stuff up. So it just kind of worked pretty seamlessly.
Yeah. Yeah. And I like seeing how y'all are starting already, you know, and I've listened to a couple of y'all shows, and I love the fact that y'all are not just hunkered down in one sport of kayak fishing. You know what I mean? And that's fine. That worked for some guys, you know, like Dark Waters. He's moving out and he's getting some of the boat pros too. But you got some guys that are just straight kayaking, and there's nothing wrong with that. It works perfect, and the kayaking world needs that, to keep growing this and getting more people in the water. But California, man, it's something about it. Y'all have some of the best fisheries over there, some of the biggest spots. Like I love seeing Cody Myers and all of them catching big fish over there in big spots, and but it always feels like, and me and James was actually talking about this the other day, it's like California don't get no love when it comes to the big tournament series. I mean, every once in a while there'll be one over there, and then it, like this year, it's not much going on over there when it comes to bass and what is it? It was the Hobie or Open, the KBF. I can't remember which one it isn't going over there either.
Hobie.
Yeah, Hobie. So, but like I say, y'all have a lot of big events too that go on in California. Y'all have y'all's own thing, and I like seeing that, and I like seeing that y'all guys are covering more of that and getting that out there as well. But we'll go into that on some stuff that's going on that Shane's been working on. But looking at y'all's podcast, I mean, what are y'all looking at getting out of that? Like, what is, when y'all go in there, are y'all trying to do more of, for people that haven't listened anyways, y'all can go on iTunes and check out Bass Thumb's fishing podcast. Are y'all trying to be more technique based, or are y'all just trying to get the word out of what's going on in California? I mean, where are y'all looking at seeing this show going when the next, let's say, 2 years?
I feel like one of the main reasons why we started a podcast out here specifically for kayak fishing, Josh, is because there really wasn't much out here, and we just, like you said, we have a big kayak scene. So, through me and Alex talking a lot about maybe starting this thing up, it was kind of something that we saw a niche for out here in California, and we've gotten a lot of positive feedback so far. We had Greg Blanchard on, we had Bryce Gibbs on, and yeah, I mean, kayak's going to be our base thing, but we kind of just want to shed some light out here on the West Coast as much as we possibly can. Winning big circuits and being able to be on a podcast means a lot for anglers, and I feel like if we provide that platform for the West Coast guys, it could be really successful. And so I'm excited about it, and it's fun to have Alex with me doing it, because I feel like it makes the conversation, there's always something, one of us always has something to ask or talk about, so it makes it flow really nice. That's why me and Alex are doing it together. And Alex has a lot of experience in the bass boat scene. He fished in college, the FLW college circuit and stuff, so he has a lot of experience with that, and it's just going to be a fun time, man, and we're really excited about it. And like I said, just trying to bring a little bit of light in the kayak scene out on the West Coast. That's kind of our goal.
Yeah, and like I say, y'all are doing a great job with that. And I didn't realize when we started doing some kayak accessories and mounts and stuff like that, how big it was in California. Like, I mean, man, all of a sudden I'm looking at, like, every week, every day, it's some kind of sale in California, and I'm like, man, it is really big in California. And Shane was one of the first video I've ever seen where somebody actually put our stuff on their boat, and did a YouTube video with it. And I was like, wow, this is freaking cool. Like, we've never had that, except for our stuff when we did it. But yeah, that's pretty cool, man. So have y'all had, I mean, I know y'all haven't been doing it long, but have you had a guest on there yet that's been, like, brutal, like a tough interview, or have all of them been really good? I mean, have you had that one where you're like, man, this is gonna be a tough show?
No,
Yeah.
I think everybody that we've had on so far has been. I mean, we don't like you guys were talking about earlier. We don't really have a set list of questions where we have to prepare and everything sounds rehearsed. It's all just kind of off the cuff, and we'll go on Skype and then we'll stop recording, and some of these guys will give us another 45 to 60 minutes of their time, and sometimes it's even that stuff that I wish that we could broadcast and publish, because there's some really good quality conversations there. But for the most part, everybody's been real and down to earth, and just I think that's kind of what we want to come across, is like, it's not something that's staged or that we're talking about certain techniques or anything. It's just a conversation with somebody, and if everybody recognizes that name, then great. If it's somebody who works for a marketing company at whatever clothing line that we have, then great too. Like, we want to kind of just broadcast all aspects of anything in the fishing community, especially kind of closer to Southern California.
Yeah. Now, I forgot where I want to throw that question, but when it comes to like getting into the podcasting thing, was there any conversation? I mean, was there still a doubt in your mind, like how? Let me get at this. How long did y'all talk about it before you even got into it? You know, like, or was it like, hey, let's just start a podcast, and like next Sunday you're like, yeah, all right, let's do it. You know, like here we go. I mean, because you know, like we was talking with Josh, and we had a question about it with YouTube. You know, and it's like Josh said, just do it. I mean, did y'all contemplate it for a while, or did y'all just jump into it?
I mean, we talked about it for a couple of weeks, and as you guys, for those of you that are listening and kind of maybe like seeing how long we've been doing this for, we only have 5 episodes out. We started roughly 5 weeks ago.
Yeah.
You know, for those of you guys watching live, I still have Apple earphones in, but that's going to get switched out soon. Alex has the nice mic and everything, but I mean, we're starting off fresh, and you know, we're excited about it. And Alex is a little bit more techie than I am, so kind of we go back and forth about some struggles that I have on my end sometimes, to be honest. But there's nothing. We just saw a niche, Josh, and we went for it, and that's kind of how this whole year has been for myself and for Alex. I mean, I flew to the national championship, and he drove like, I don't know, hundreds of hours to get to Alabama. I mean, we just went for it this year, and it's been a fun year. And starting a podcast was just kind of something to kind of top it off for us and see where it goes. And we're just going to go for it, man. We're having fun too doing it. And there's a lot of content, dude, because like I said, there's so many anglers up and down California. There's big circuits, you know. We got the ABA starting out new. We got Wild West Bass Kayak. We got Yakabass. We got tons of content out here that's almost just waiting for a podcast to take it on. You know, there's going to be a lot of guys winning big events that we're going to have on, and guys, you know, that we see that we have lined up. And I don't know, I'm excited about it. You see how passionate I get about it, but man, it's exciting.
Well, it makes it super easy when it's something you're passionate about. You know what I mean? Like when you love fishing, like we talked about in the last show, when me and James was doing this, we love fishing. We fished tournaments together for years in bass boat events, and same thing with me and Chris. I mean, we were in a club together, and you know, and to have him here and to help with the show, and he knows kind of, he can feed off of the experience that we've had, you know, all together. But like say, when you're passionate about something, it makes it so simple to go in there and talk. And it's like you said, you don't need a set of questions in front of you because you already know what you want to ask. You know, we already know what we want to talk about. You know, when it comes to questions, and you know, you kind of figure out your guests before you have them on. You know, you just don't get some random dude and like and not know a little something about them. But other than that, I mean, everything's still kind of shot from the hip there, and you go with it. But
and Josh, kind of going off that niche that I was talking about that I saw a need for. I mean, this is just an example that I'm using, and I'm just going to say it. But I mean, my boy Alex over here, he from California, goes all the way to Guntersville, Alabama, takes 5th place in the national championship. And he wouldn't really expect it, but no one reached out for him to be on a podcast. And I think that's a huge accomplishment. And that's the kind of niche that I'm talking about for the West Coast anglers, man. And, you know, we're stepping up to provide that platform for these guys. And that's kind of the niche that that was kind of, I would say, missing for us guys out here in the West Coast. So,
yeah,
you know.
And I think that's great because, and you know what, we are just as guilty about it, you know, when everybody wants to get to winner or everybody wants to get second place. And then after that, you don't hear nothing about anybody else on there, not unless somebody already had them scheduled for a show and they just kind of talk about it. And you're right. But, you know, on the other side too, it's tough when you're trying to get that story from everybody, you know, and all that. But like you say, to give the guys some attention that are from California, like say, to make that drive all the way over there and have a phenomenal event. 5th place out of all them people is phenomenal, especially with all the craziness that went on with that event and Tourney X and all that. So, and congratulations to you on that. But like you say, it is tough to get everybody. But like I say, I like what y'all are doing. You were sticking to California. I mean, I'm sure eventually y'all will reach out to other people here and there too to get them on, but you're sticking mainly to California to give these guys props where they should be getting, you know, and getting on there and talking. So, and you, like you say, it's a great niche. That is perfect for over there. I mean, I don't even think nobody's even doing anything. If they are, you don't hear much about it, you know, like they're just getting going. But
yeah, there's some big podcasts. I mean, Casting Crank is one of them. I'm sure
that's
you guys
true.
have heard of them.
Yeah.
but nothing really like specific kayak bass fishing. So that's kind of where we're stepping in.
Yeah, that's great, man. And like say y'all are on some pro staffs with some great companies with Bonafide, and I know you said something. I seen something with Cash and Rods come up. Alex, who are all of you on with when it comes to pro staff and as well? You're on with some people, right?
I'm just signed up with New Canoe, new for this year, and Bioenno batteries.
Yes, great company. I love them too. I love them batteries. So
yeah, I'm sad to see Alex go to New Canoe, but I don't blame him. But he was a bona fide guy with me out here, and now he made the switch. But I don't blame him. I'm good friends with Derek Brundle and Cody and all those guys, and sometimes it's hard, but I love my bona fide too much. So
I understand. I fully understand. And New Canoe's doing good things too. You know what I mean, with pushing a lot of their guys. And I thought when we were talking and you said his name, and I was like, I thought I remembered him from Bonafide, but I couldn't put it together. You know what I mean? Like I'm not real great with names and trying to put things together sometimes. But yeah, I mean, it's congratulations to you on that, going over to New Canoe as well. And we hate to see you leave Bonafide, but congratulations going over there. And I know they'll take good care of you as well. They got a great platform. They do great with pushing their guys and like I say, great people. So. But yeah, like I say, y'all are growing into a good podcast. Y'all are on the right path. Like I say, you already got your branding. You're going on there. Are y'all gonna try to start getting into more of doing live stuff, or y'all just gonna kind of keep it still video, but not going live with it?
No, I think live is definitely something that we want to tap into. We're definitely gonna look at that. I have a couple thousand subscribers on YouTube, so I have a platform over there, and I think it'd be an easy transition to go over and do it on YouTube at least. But yeah, I think it's definitely something that we're going to talk about for sure moving into the future of our podcast.
Live is tough, but I always wanted to do it. You know what I mean? When we first started recording, it was fun. I liked it, but I always that was our plan, was to always go live. I always wanted to have live, but still push it onto the podcast platforms. But live is a whole nother beast, because that's why we had to finally get Chris in here, because it's like, man, you can't run it and talk at the same time. I can't anyways. I've never been one of those guys that could dribble basketball and chew gum at the same time. So trying to run a show and all that and all, it's tough, man. And if you have hiccups, you're always going to have software issues. Facebook is always updating. YouTube is always updating. And all your other platforms that you use to stream with are always updating. So you always have them hiccups. And I don't know, Chris, how many times we've had shows, man, at the beginning we was going live when we was here, that was like a catastrophe.
Many times.
Many times. And you're like, oh, man, this is – and, you look like a big old idiot, when it all happens. But in the end of it, though, it's fun to be interactive with everybody, and get your questions. And I think y'all's show would be great live to get that interaction, because it is fun getting questions from them guys too, and some people ask some really great questions getting into that. But where do y'all look at seeing this thing? Like say we're talking, let's go to your 5-year plan. I mean, where do y'all looking at? Y'all, like say we're talking about live, and what are y'all looking to expand it into? I mean, are y'all going to just solely try to keep the Cali love, or are y'all going to eventually try to expand this thing into everything?
Go ahead, Alex.
I mean, we're still on the 5-week plan. So
yeah.
the 5-year plan, oh man, that's the nice thing about this, is that I think you're able to do something without having to have an end date in sight.
Yeah.
And I mean, it'd be nice to just kind of keep growing organically and gain that, constantly growing network of anglers that we can call on a podcast or go on live or do, sometime in the near future, it'd be nice to have everybody in the same room and talk. So it's not so much of that Skype, but in 5 years, I'd like to have, maybe a trophy room to host these in, and, any kind of tour level, whether it's the elites or kayaks or whatever is popular in 5 years, because who knows from now, but just kind of keep what we're doing and keep moving forward, and we'll just kind of see whatever the next best option is, if there is one.
Yeah. And That's a hard question because I know we've had that question too with what our 5-year thing is, and like if somebody asked me that right now, if y'all asked me that right now, I'd be like, you know what, I don't even know because like where we're at, I'm like, we just have to see what comes up in 5 years. Like what's the next platform? What's the next thing out there? But
Right.
yeah, it's tough, man. That's a tough question, and I get it. I just like asking it. I like seeing what people have in mind and where they want to see their show go and succeed. But yeah, no, that's good. Like I say, it's great to see you guys being friends, doing the podcast show. It makes it so much easier. Let's talk a little bit about fishing. Like what is Shane? Let's start off with you. What is your home lake? What is the lake that you love to fish all the time?
Oh man. If you saw our lakes out here in SoCal, you'd probably have a little bit of a giggle because we got clear water, mostly clear water, more smaller, deep water reservoirs. And I mean, dude, we can't even get on the lake until like 7:30 a.m. sometimes, and we got a close time. We got entry gate fees. It's tough. It's tough out here sometimes, but we make it work. And I feel like with it being pressured and tough, it makes us a little bit more keen to figure out the bite, a little bit more driven to figure out the bite. It's a little more difficult to catch a 5-fish limit out here, I feel like, than almost anywhere in the country. But if I were to pick one lake that's my home lake, I'm going to say Pudding Stone. And Pudding Stone is a small little city reservoir, I would say. But, man, I've had some epic days out there. I got it on my YouTube channel if you guys want to check it out. But I've had some really good days out there, and it's a fun lake to fish. You can catch them almost any way you want, almost. But that's what I'm going to say. If you're talking local, I'm saying Pudding Stone. So, and me and Alex have had some good challenges out there on YouTube at Pudding Stone, and me and Alex go back and forth at Pudding Stone a lot. So I'm going to say Pudding Stone.
What about you, Alex? You gonna say the same thing, or is there another lake that you like that's your favorite? I guess say home lake because you got so many lakes around you.
Local, Alex.
All right. Yeah, I guess local, it'd definitely be the same thing. Pudding Stone. It's got some deep stuff. It's got some shallow stuff. You can kind of pattern it a little bit better seasonally than some of the other local bodies. So I'd say Pudding Stone. I mean, I've had some epic days out there as well. And whether you want to do what Shane does and throw a drop shot all day long, or if you want to throw a big swim bait, then you can still catch them just about any way you want sometimes.
Yeah. Now, look, I've never been in California. I don't even track California weather. But, like, I was talking to Shane the other day, and he's talking about how warm it was over there or something going on. It was kind of, like a kick in the sack there, when you hear that. But I mean, like, what's it like over there weather-wise? I mean, what's the coldest days y'all normally have going out there on the water?
Oh, that's a good question. At least that we're around where we are, I would say 40 to 45 would be cold.
Yeah.
And this year it's kind of staying true to somewhat of a normal winter. Sometimes, we'll have Christmas where it's 85 degrees for a week, but it's been consistently cold. And this week and last week even, we had some rain. So it's good to see that we had some water coming in the forecast. Because we have a lot of reservoirs from where we are all the way down to San Diego that could really, really use it. But yeah, about 40 to 45 is cold, and then it warms up to maybe like mid-50s during the day.
Oh wow,
Josh! A few weeks ago, we were hitting a few days of 90 degrees just a few weeks ago.
Good gosh! Now, when does y'all spawn hit then? Because is it anything like Florida? Like Florida, the January, like now until through February, their spawn's hitting pretty good. So when does y'all spawn hit normally over there?
Yeah, that's a good question. You might see a couple up in January. Like if we got a full moon coming up here in about 5 days, and you might see a couple, but I think that this week of rain is going to keep them another month back. But typically February is the first, and then you might see the last spawn almost as late as June, but between those months.
Wow. Well, let me tell you how Virginia is. Now, I'm sure that the northern guys are going to tell me to shut up because they're standing on ice right now, dropping in a hole, So I can still get out on the water. We do have times where it'll freeze up, but this year has not been like that. But we've had times where the days are 19 degrees, and and with the
my
wind
God.
chill of
Oh,
like
man.
-1 or something, you know. But for the most part, Virginia isn't that crazy. But they always talk about Virginia. The weather here in Virginia is you bundle up in the morning, and then the summertime. I mean, during the day you're in shorts and flip flops. You know, like it's. But they're calling for snow possibly Thursday, 10 to 12 inches possibly. But Wednesday we're looking, or Wednesday, was it Tuesday or Wednesday? It's like 60 degrees. Wednesday, yeah. So, you know, you're just kind of like, man, what in the world? That's how Virginia weather is. But our spawn don't start till April. End of March, first part of April. Mid-April, it's going strong. And then you'll still see some fish on beds all the way up till May, end of May, something like that. But, yeah, it's crazy. I was talking to Shane the other day, and he's talking about how warm it was over here. And I'm sitting here like, it's 34 degrees. And I'm like, whatever, dude. Just shut your mouth.
So with that weather pattern, do you think that the bite is better in their consolidated, I guess, like fishing season?
It can be. Yeah. I mean, you know, you got guys that are – I always look at the bass boat tournament trails because that's what I used to fish as well. You had your guys that during the wintertime they're sticks. You know what I mean? During the spring, you don't hear much about them. Summertime, when they start really getting back down into that deep stuff like where they were in the wintertime, they'll start hitting it good again, you know, and start taking everybody's money. And then the fall will hit, and then they'll struggle, and then, you know, back to winter again. Yeah, you can pattern them a little bit easier sometimes. But then you have days where, like say, it was the highs of 30 and 40 for, you know, a couple of days, and all of a sudden you get a 60-degree day come in. Sometimes you can get up on the banks and throw a crankbait on a riprap, you know, and they'll come up there sunning a little bit. And that'll throw you a curveball every once in a while, especially if you've been catching them in 25, 30 foot of water for the last couple of days, and then they pull up, and then you got to go up there in about 5 foot of water and catch them. So, but yeah, it can be tough sometimes. But I struggle with the winter bite sometimes here. You know, guys throwing Alabama rigs, I don't do it. I don't throw Alabama rigs for the fact that I hate losing 5 baits at one time when I hang it up. You know, it just makes me mad. But I'll just throw a jerk bait or a Carolina rig or a drop shot or something. I don't do Alabama rigs. But yeah, I mean, it's crazy just the difference. Granted, I know y'all are 3 hours, 4 hours difference in time. But the different, you know, where y'all are at, it's more southern. Well, y'all are Southern California, right? Mid to Southern California. So, but it's just crazy the difference in weather over there, you know, and like it is kind of in Florida, really. The guys that are going down there for the KBF right now to fish Florida, and I'm just like really kicking myself in the butt because I'd love to be down there in like 70-degree weather fishing right now. But yeah,
we got a West Coast guy out here in the 10, Bryce Gibbs. Watch out for Bryce, man.
Oh yeah, that'll be good, and that'll be a good podcast show because I'm sure y'all will have him on. So that'll be a good podcast show there to listen to that. Well, we got a question, Chris?
Yeah, Chris Cable wants to ask Alex about 19 inches at Santa Fe Dam.
Oh man, talk about another tough Southern California spot that I'm ashamed to call a lake, I guess.
Wait, did he say 19 inches?
19 inches.
19 inches. Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, Josh, you probably won't like to hear this, but those also come on the A-rigs in a mud hole that's basically, I don't know, Shane, you worked by there. How would you explain Santa Fe Dam?
I hate it. It's the worst lake in the world. It's literally a cesspool. Don't even talk about it. Let's just move on.
Yeah.
Chris, you know what I'm talking about. Let's just move on.
Now, wait a minute. I want to know about these 19 inches. What are we talking about?
Oh, I mean, every fish that comes out of there, it's you don't know. They're just pale as can be because the water is just muddy all year round. They got no markings on them, and nobody ever knew that there was a 19-inch fish in there until I caught one in a little local club deal like last February.
Yeah.
Is that one of them tournaments where it takes 40-some inches to win? Or is it?
Yep.
Yes, sometimes.
Yeah. I hate them lakes, man. Yeah, it's – or, you know, and it's always one of them ones you're like, man, if I could just – the fishing's tough here. If I can catch 40-some inches and you have a good day and then all of a sudden, like, some dude brings in 80 and you're like, really? Like, where in the world
Josh,
did you fish?
I'll tell you this though. One positive, nice thing about being in SoCal, and I don't do it as much as I would like to, but Alex does it a lot. We got stocked trout in a lot of these reservoirs out here, and some of these fish are giants. We have a couple fish down here that are in like the 19, 20-pound range. And Alex goes out there and catches some big ones on that big 8-inch trout swim bait. But, that's the one thing about SoCal is that you can catch an absolute giant at any point. I'm talking like teener at any minute. So that's a cool thing about SoCal. Going off of that from the Santa Fe Dam, freaking Chris.
Good save there, Shane.
Yeah. Chris pulled a Google picture of that like it does. It looks like chocolate milk.
Like chocolate milk.
Yeah. Looks like a Yoo-hoo factory right there had a leak. Like that's what it looks like. But well, that's what I love. Like, Cody Myers and all of them. You watch them guys catching them over there, and you just when they set the hook, you don't know if you're gonna have a 12-incher or if you're gonna have a 26-incher. And like that's what I like. We got a lake near us, Sandy River and Briary, that are known for growing. They're stocked with Florida string bass, and they're known for growing big fish. And that's one of them lakes, man. You never know when you set that hook what you're about to get into. But they're not trout fed, and that's what I like seeing over. That's where the big swim bait stuff really came from. If you look at a lot of the techniques that are out there, it's a lot of stuff from California, or that made it big, shall I say. And that's why I always say Cali just don't get no love, man, when it comes to stuff like that.
Have you heard of Oliver with Big Bass Streams?
Yes.
Yeah, so actually his home lake and where he started at is Pudding Stone. Just to give you a little perspective on that, how that wraps itself around. But yeah, he made a name for himself out here in California for sure, and now he travels all over the place catching giant fish.
I met Oliver at, was it a couple years ago? It was when it was at Hartwell. It wasn't the last one they had at Hartwell. It was several years ago when it was at Hartwell. Oliver was there, and he was down on the lower floor. They have like where a lot of the booths were. It was like a 1-day booth or 2-day booth. You couldn't sit up long, but he was trying to sell his videos. The Big Bass, was it Big Bass Dreams? Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Volume 1, yeah.
Yeah, and he was trying to sell those videos, and we talked to him for a little while, man, and I still got his video around here somewhere, and man, it was just great content. He does good stuff, and
he has a cast to catch on like a, can't remember, was it a 19 Alex or something like that when he caught that one?
Like a 17.6, something like that.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
That's crazy, man. And I mean, he just throws those big baits. It was just cool to watch that. And like when he did a lot of the behind the scenes and getting things ready and prepping swim baits, and it's just crazy how big that is over. I mean, over here at Smith, you can throw some big swim baits. I know guys that do throw big swim baits. Most of the time, I'm throwing a 6-7-inch swim bait. If I throw one that big, I don't have great success with it because I'm one of them guys. I'm like, all right, I threw this about 6 times. I'm gonna go back to drop shot. Like, I ain't got enough bites. Screw this mess. But no, his stuff's pretty cool. It's some great videos and big bass catches that have come out of California. That are known. You know what I mean? That you see in Bassmasters and all that stuff. And if you look at, I always like going to Bassmasters and looking at the, they have the pictures with all the big bass caught. What is it? California, Texas, and Florida. That's where you see majority of those big fish in the back of Bassmasters. Yeah. So, Chris, you say we got a question?
Yeah, Clay wants to know their favorite way to catch them in Southern California.
Go ahead, Alex. You go first.
Well, I already know that Shane's going to follow up with the same thing, but every year it kind of changes. Like I think the last year I was kind of all about reaction bites. So I had a decent chatterbait bite from SoCal all the way up to Northern California and out to Gunnersville since I think I got on it in around June, and I rode that chatterbait bite until the end of October. And that's really, really fun. So once that kind of dies, then fishing slows down around here, and then I pick up a 8 to 10 inch swim bait and start throwing it. So I'm just gonna say the 8-inch HUD because that's pretty much all I've gotten fish on in the last 3 months.
What about you, Shane?
I like to throw a 7-inch RoboWorm Nico rig. That rig right there, I've caught them in SoCal, in Northern California at Clear Lake, in Gunnersville. And man, that thing is just awesome. That's probably my number one confidence bait. And then after that, I would probably say a chatterbait as well. I love throwing a chatterbait. I love catching them on a chatterbait. That's the same pattern I was on at Gunnersville, which was an absolutely insane trip. With me and Alex went out there and just had a blast with our buddy Anthony from G Team Outdoors. But man, it was fun to catch him that way. And that's probably my two favorite ways to catch him, as far as like a finesse and a reaction, for sure.
Now let me ask y'all this. This is something me and James actually talked about a while back. But is there a technique that when you first started fishing that you threw all the time and that was like your go-to that you don't even pick up anymore? Like for some reason you just got away from it and like I don't do it no more. I don't even know why I got away from it.
Dude, I'll take this because it's true. When I was in the float tube, I swear on this one, I had a pack of 6-inch robo worms and a 1/4 ounce bullet head weight and like a size 2 EWG hook, and that's literally all I had, all I threw for like 7 years. I couldn't get away from it. I caught fish on it all the time, and it was just what I threw, and I just, there was just nothing else that I thought could catch them. And again, I was fishing out of a float tube for fun, so I wasn't even trying to give other techniques a shot, because I'd pick up a popper or a crankbait and I wouldn't catch anything for like 5 minutes, and I would instantly go back to my Texas rig robo worm. So and honestly, I don't throw it hardly at all anymore, and I should, because it catches them. But yeah, that's mine for sure.
What about you, Alex?
Gosh, that's a good question. It's kind of hard to say, but I guess I don't know if you guys have ever heard of a Yamamoto Ika.
Yeah.
It's got kind of a thicker body, and some of our local places here, because of the salt content, it floats and it's heavy, but you don't have to weight it when you're flipping. So like some of the city parks where I'd literally just be walking around, all I would have is a flipping rod and straight braid and a hook and an Ika, and I would just catch them all day long from spring to fall. And actually, literally, like I was out the other day and I picked one up again but it's been probably about 3 or 4 years since I actually tried throwing that bait. And it's kind of like a technique thing. It's not necessarily like you're punching or you're flipping, but that's one technique that I won a boat in college with it, and I kind of put it down since then for some reason.
Mine was a Zoom ribbon tail, the June bug color. That was me and James, when we used to have a little 12-foot John boat. We used to go on Snout Lake, and we'd put in when the big bass boat terms was putting in. We'd come back in our little 12-footer in. These guys are backing in 20-foot Rangers, and we'd fish all day and then just kind of see what we caught and then come in just compared to what the weights were, and kind of average what our weight was. But we talked to old man one time. He's like, man, y'all need to be throwing a June bug. Chris, what was it? The U-tail, the one we used to throw watermelon seed too on a Carolina rig.
It's the Zoom U-tail.
Was that what? It's just a U-tail, Zoom U-tail.
Yeah.
And we would throw that thing and catch fish all day long. And then I don't know what got me away from it, but I still got the original ones that I had in the worm bag. I mean, it looks old as all. And I don't know. I just got away from that. And it was kind of on the Carolina rig thing too. I got away from that for a while, and I used to do really well on it. And like, I don't know, 2 or 3 years ago maybe, I said I would throw it here and there, but all of a sudden I was like, I'm going to throw this more. I used to do good on it. I picked it back up, and now I'm, started getting back into catching more fish on a Carolina rig, and saving my butt in tournaments with a Carolina rig. But maybe I need to do that. Maybe, Chris, we need to do that with a June bug worm. We just need to throw that back on there.
Yeah.
We used to do it all the time with the U-tail watermelon seed, too.
Now we don't know nothing but green pumpkin.
Yeah. There ain't no other color out there.
No other color.
I don't think they make anything else.
Well, if you guys ever make it out to Clear Lake, you make sure you bring a pack of those, and you can Carolina rig that all day long and get yourself a 25 to 30 pound bag.
Really? That's that big
Yeah.
over there, man. See, I knew he was on something. It just was the wrong lake.
Yeah, just in the wrong lake, wrong side of the country.
Yeah. Man, that's crazy. Well, guys, let's get back into the podcast just a little bit, and then we'll let you guys get going. I know it's getting late, at least over here for us. It is getting late, but
yeah, it's only 7 o'clock over here, man. We're just getting started.
Yeah, y'all got plenty of time to go out there and get the night bite going, So,
yeah.
But kind of talking about your show, and like say you're starting simple. What is some advice for guys out there, like I want to do it like Josh, we had that question coming from Josh. What is some advice for you guys that y'all could give to other people starting a podcast show? What kind of advice y'all have? I know y'all are new, you know what I mean? And y'all still learning and trying to work out software and mics and all that stuff. What is some tips that y'all could give new people out there trying to start a podcast?
I'd say don't be afraid to ask questions to other people that are doing podcasts and, do a little bit of research. But at the end of the day, it's just something that you kind of got to, if you put your mind to it and you want to do it, you're going to go for it. But it's definitely nice to kind of ask around. And that's kind of like what I did, like what software to use. And we use the Anchor app for right now. And, having a buddy like Alex know all the earphone stuff. And like I said, I'm still trying to get my stuff set up, but I don't know, just go for it, man. And I feel like it's kind of important to have a little bit of a niche. Like I told you earlier about, ours out here on the West Coast, there are a lot of podcasts out there. So maybe trying to bring something a little bit different to the table would be a good thing to start with. And that's kind of like I guess that's my overall advice. It was a little bit not easier, but I guess it was a little bit easier for us because I had the platform on Instagram to kind of, transition my followers from Instagram to now starting a podcast. So, but I guess just try to find something that's unique and don't be afraid to ask questions.
Yeah, that's a good answer. Alex, you want to add anything to it, or did he kind of cover the bases on that?
Oh no, he definitely covered just about everything, but I think the one thing that we wanted to really hone in on with our podcast is consistency. And, to anybody out there, whether you want to post one a month, one every 3 days, whatever it is, just kind of try to follow some kind of game plan so you don't get ahead of yourself or you don't get caught behind, because it's easy to have some downtime and then rack up a handful of conversations with the people, string them together, and then you've got some stuff kind of backed up to where you can release it. But once life gets busy, you might not be able to make 2 a week or 3 a week. So our game plan has been from the get-go just 1 a week, and we have some time throughout the weeks to kind of build up to that. But then again, it's enough time between podcasts to where if life gets busy, we can at least make 1 a week.
Yeah, and that's Go ahead, sorry, Shane.
No, I was going to say one thing, too, about our podcast is Alex and I, we're both competitive and we fish and we're tournament anglers. And so we have a little bit of an understanding of like, like the angler's mindset more, I would say, too, which is a little bit of a benefit and a little bit of a plus for our show because, we can dive in deep with whoever we bring on the show because we all three, like whoever's on our show, all three of us can really bounce off each other well. And I don't know. It's just exciting and fun. So just wanted to add that in there too. We're, like you said, we're doing once a week because we're going to be competing and we're going to be traveling. We're going to be doing all this other things as well. So once a week was kind of a limit for us since we're going to be competing and fishing as well,
Yeah. And I think that's what we do, and there's times where we try to shoot for 3 a month. So 1 a week. And if we get a 4th one in, it's great. You know what I mean? And during the summer, it's easy to do with, the amount of content that you can get with talking to people in winters and this and that. But I always tell people, too, don't try to overdo it and go gung-ho. And like the guys from Paddle and Fin do great, and they got their system, and they can do a lot of shows. But if you're starting out, don't go like, man, I'm gonna do one every other day. Not unless you got that much to talk about and you got time to do it. Man, it is tough to do. It's tough to do it every day, and you'll burn yourself out of it very quickly with that. Now, I got a question to ask you too. With starting a podcast, do you think it's more and that goes to Bass, how you did Bass Thumbs and you built that brand? Do you think before you even start a podcast, it's good to go ahead and build your social media platform? Don't even talk about podcasts and just kind of go in and do like you did, sharing fish pictures, sharing this, maybe doing a contest every once in a while, and giving away stuff to help bring that audience in to where you build it to, let's just say, 500 to 1,000 followers. Even if you don't get that, 200 followers. Do you think it's important to go ahead and start building your brand first before you start a podcast show? Because I think if you didn't do that, it would you would kind of get in a slump. And you're like, man, I ain't got no listeners because nobody knows about you at first, you know? So
Yeah. I would say that's really important for sure. I mean, it's definitely helped me, kind of like I said earlier, transition, my brand, so-called brand, to now a podcast, because I do have, a decent following, and I've networked myself with a lot of people, and just being able to bring people on the show is a little bit easier because, like you said, they know me, I've competed with them, or they've seen me on Instagram, and it's definitely made it easier overall. And that's why when me and Alex were thinking about starting a podcast, we both were talking about, like, should we do something with Bass Thumbs or should we do something off? And then we're like, well, Bass Thumbs already has a platform, so we're just going to go with the Bass Thumbs Fishing Podcast. And so, yeah, I definitely think it's important for sure to start some sort of platform first before you start a podcast. Because, like I said, because of my experience and seeing social media and seeing the podcast world from a different perspective, it kind of helped me see that niche that was, needed out here on the West Coast. So.
Yeah. And kind of touching base. Sorry, Alex, go ahead. What was you going to say?
Well, and I'm going to say something a little more contrasting to that, is that the nice thing about podcasts is that, whether you title them whatever, they're there until you erase them if you choose to. Yeah. So you can, if you've got good enough content, you can put 10 out there, whether you have 10 followers or 100 or whatever. But if some of those podcasts are with some, icons in the sport, somebody's going to come find out about it, and then somebody's going to discover it, and then they're going to share that. So just to anybody who's listening, I would encourage them to just get started and put some stuff out there. And then you could do that while building your platform. Like me personally, I'm okay with social media. I don't like necessarily talking to my YouTube videos, so I hardly ever make them. And Instagram, I'm kind of hit or miss on it. But teaming up with Shane, that Bass Thumbs, that was a bonus. But I think that if you have good enough stuff, the growth will just be faster if you start from nothing. But I think that it can go. You can make the argument either way.
Yeah, and you can. And like I say, you're, like I was talking with Josh earlier with YouTube and Shane. I mean, you can have the best thumbnails, you can have the best, title, but if the content ain't good anyways, it's not going to grow. You know what I mean? You can be great with Photoshop, editing, and getting your thumbnails and all. Because they always talk about it, with YouTube. Make sure your thumbnails and your title is on point. But if your content ain't that great, it doesn't matter anyways. And like Alex was saying too, with just getting out there and start getting some good podcast shows going, you can go bigger. You can actually possibly grow bigger that way before you go into your social media platform. So that's a good point. You're right. It could be either way on that. It just depends on how good you are with social media and how good you are with doing a podcast. But Alex hit a good point too, was consistency, and having a time and a date that you do it on a regular basis is perfect. Whether it's social media, like Shane, too, social media. We got to a point at one time we kind of backed off of. We're gonna get better with it in the summer again. But if you can post something twice a day, once in the morning and afternoon, or if you post it at this time, and just be consistent with everything you do. Like our podcast show, we try to do a podcast show every Sunday. When we mix it up and go in and do one on a Wednesday, sometimes you don't get as many followers because people are not looking for it then, They know every Sunday they know to come to look for, say your show comes out and it ain't live, but they know Monday your podcast is going to be up. You know what I mean? So, or Sunday or whatever day y'all release your podcast, consistency is key to that every time. It don't matter, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, whatever. Consistency and it is the key to it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Hey Josh, so do you ever have any, like, I don't know, itches or anything to come out to California or come out this way to fish with us? Or I know there's no big bass event or anything this year, but have you ever thought about it?
Me and James have talked about it. Like we were actually looking before Bass released their schedule. We were like, man, what happens if they do one in California? Maybe we could fly out and line up a boat or something, and just have a boat and just bring our gear and fish a tournament out there, and we have talked about it. Just for the fact also, like, we have, not trying to say we're like some superstars or rock stars or nothing like that, but a lot of our following is California. I mean, we have a big following in California. We have a big following in Texas, and then then it's kind of out through there. But our top states is California and Texas for our following. And but so we have wanted to come out there and like talk to some tackle shops or some kayak shops and kind of pushing our product as well, but also coming out there and doing some fishing and meeting up with you guys and going and doing some fishing, man. That was kind of like a goal of ours within the next year or two.
Yeah. I mean, it was cool too. I mean, Josh, thanks again for, helping out with the ABA stuff as well. That was sweet of you guys to, to come on and do that with us out at the ABA. It'd be cool to see at one of our events. I know it's probably a long shot, but
oh man, that's what we were talking about. Like we when they do a championship, we thought about, when they do the championship of trying to line something up to come out there, and just talk, either do a podcast, like maybe do a podcast with you guys, and y'all are fishing it, but at the end of the day, we do a podcast and talk about it, and have the winner on and kind of do it together.
We got extra boats out here, man. So just let us know. We got extra boats, so let us know.
For sure. And let's talk about the ABA real quick before we let you guys go. That was something I wanted to discuss with y'all today. Talk a little bit about that if you can, and what it is and what they're doing. And I know they got like a 50 boat limit right now, but how they're really pushing the kayak tournament series now.
Yeah, so we were definitely in need of something out here in SoCal. A little bit more than just a local club scene. We have some great local clubs, don't get me wrong, but there was definitely a need because we just kept having to travel up north. And traveling up north in California is an 8-hour drive. It gets a little bit expensive, and it's just hard to do every month, So we had a need out here, and one of my buddies that fished the club with us last year, his name's Jonathan DeMonet. He's a local bass boat hammer, man. I mean, this guy can just flat out catch them, and he helped start this ABA thing because he had a relationship with them already, and the ABA was wanting to get into the kayak scene. If you guys don't know what the ABA is, it's the American Bass Association. They're a really well-known organization. I'm pretty sure throughout at least half the country. I'm not sure if they have anything far on the East Coast or not, but they're definitely a big organization, and this is going to be their first kayak series. And yeah, we're capping it at 50 boats just because, like I said, our waters are a little bit on the smaller side compared to most bodies of water throughout the country. So 50 boats is a good start for us. And we filled up our first event. The buy-ins are bigger. They're like $130 buy-ins with $10 big bass. The payouts with 50 boats is going to be like $1,500 for first, and we're going to pay top 10, and big bass is $500. So you can go down, to San Diego or and win an event and win almost $2,000, which is something that we haven't really seen out here in SoCal in a really long time, unless we had like a KBF trail. But now the KBF trail is only up north this year, so it's really nice for us to have a SoCal event. We got actually Greg Blanchard coming down to our El Cap event, which is really exciting, and it's going to be fun to see him down here in SoCal. And Juan Nunez is coming down from up north. We got a few guys coming down from up north, which is nice. Kind of, an even balance. We travel up there to do their stuff, and some of them are gonna come down here to do our stuff, and I feel like it's gonna be good content overall. And it's gonna be interesting, dude, to see the northern guys come down and fish our SoCal lakes. It's gonna be cool to see how they do, and I'm sure everyone's gonna see it with Greg Blanchard's content. And I don't know, man, it's really exciting. We got a great Hobie is our title sponsor, and you guys came on as a plaque sponsor as well. And Hobie's doing a PA 14 360. I think I got that right. They're doing a 360 for the winner of the TOC or Angler of the Year. They haven't really got the details on that yet, but someone's going to win a 360 this year for free. So it's an exciting event, man. We got Tourney X doing the judging. We got an outside judge, Holly Baumbach. She's going to be our outside judge, and it's going to be legit, dude. It's really exciting. Our first tournament's coming up February 6th. So, and we got a waiting list too, which is cool. There's excitement around it.
Yeah, dude.
Go ahead. There are some hammers on the list. There are just some absolute sticks that I don't know how I feel about it because I got to fish against all of them, but it's really cool. There's some big names and some people that are coming over from the bass boat scene as well. So it's going to be exciting to see how these turn out.
Yeah, and
the media side too, Josh, real quick. Sorry.
No, you're
the
fine.
media side too. They're gonna get a plaque, obviously, that you guys are gonna help with. So 1st through 5th is gonna get a plaque, which is cool, and then they're gonna get a plaque for winning big bass as well. And then we're gonna do like a 1-minute interview for the top 3 or the top 5. We're gonna do a 1-minute interview that's gonna go on the ABA's website. And the media side of things is gonna be really, really cool as well, and give guys down here a platform to stand on too. Me and Alex are gonna bring the winner of each event onto our show. So yeah, dude, it's exciting, dude. We're excited.
I'm really excited that y'all reached out to us to even be a part of this. Like it was very humbling, to reach out and ask us to be a part of that, and we were very grateful for it. And just talking, God, what's his daggone name now again? You give me his name and it just slipped my mind. I was wanting to remember his name. The guy that's in charge with the ABA.
Jonathan DeMonet?
Yes,
and
yes.
Craig Sutherland's the president.
Craig, yes, that's who I'm thinking about, Craig. And I talked with him, had a great conversation the other night, and just the passion that you guys have. And Craig, he was even talking about, he don't know much about the kayaking side, and he's wanting to learn it and be a part of it. And just to see the passion y'all have going into this and really wanting to grow it, I'm really excited about it. I'm really excited. I'll probably be following that more than I will a lot of these other trails, just to see how it's going, and I love watching new things build. Like when Major League Fishing came out, and they were just where it was just a smaller group of pro anglers fishing against each other. Then they come out with a whole tournament trail. I hated seeing bass lose a lot of their great anglers, but I also like seeing new things happen and new things growing in this sport, because it makes our sport even better and gives it more attention. And then with you guys getting this tournament series going, it helps. It's another avenue to help grow this sport, and I love it.
Yeah.
And
another thing too, Josh, is coming out with a new trail and stuff. I mean, I'm just gonna give credit where credit's due, and this might be a little, I don't know, a little sensitive for people, but man, Chad Hoover at KBF, the way that he has just paved the road, from a few years back to where we're at now, he's paved the way for this entire thing. And personally, I have a good friendship with Chad, and I just feel like he's really just kind of opened up this whole entire thing for all of us to build off of. Like even with 3 or 4 years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, there was nothing. I had no idea. There was nothing like this going on. And now look at what it's become and how many other circuits are now. And I just feel like Chad did a phenomenal job paving the road, and he's still going, and it's awesome. So the fact that, I know I'm bummed out a little bit that there's no KBF trail down in SoCal, but I'm definitely going to go up north and fish those 3 events up north this year. But I don't know. I just want to give him credit, because I feel like, he paved the road, man. And he gets a lot of flack sometimes, but dude, that guy paved the road. So I'm going to come out and say that.
Yeah, and you're right. And I've talked about that several times on my show with Chad. And I brought it up several times when we talk about, especially I think it was the end of last year or the beginning of last year, when Bass was starting their series, and it was all the hype of Bass and Hobie and KBF and all the events. And people are probably like, well, Josh, you talked about, is there too many kayak events? And I did that in a couple of shows, but I was mainly talking this way, and there's so many trails over here. You guys don't have as many trails as like we have over here, other than Hobie and KBF and Bass. There's so many other different trails over here. But like I was saying, with what you guys are doing, it's great. And you're right. Chad Hoover has started a lifestyle for so many people. Look how many, man, we wouldn't be a business that we are right now if it wasn't for Chad Hoover.
No way. And none of us. Yeah. None of us would have anything, really. Yeah. I'd be in my float tube still, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah. I mean, there's guys that were kayak fishing. There was guys that were doing tournaments, but it wasn't blown up, and the way they were doing it and way Chad has grown the sport. Yeah, like I say, there's things he said that he might should have said. There's things that he's done that he shouldn't have done. But we all make mistakes, and we all say things we shouldn't say. I mean, that's just life. We're human. Sure. But like you say, Chad gets a lot of the credit for where it's going. And a lot of people might not like it either. I know what you mean.
It is what it is, man.
Yeah, it is. You got to give credit where credit's due, and
Yeah.
he's the man when it comes to it. Like I say, we wouldn't be doing this if we was. It might have been later down the road, and it might not have as much attention as it has now. You know what I mean? So,
Like, Josh, I still cannot believe that I went up to Clear Lake and fished in a Bassmaster event out of a stinking kayak.
yeah,
And now I'm able to go, I qualified and I'm able to go to Texas to the first kayak classic. Like, and that's what I'm talking about, like Chad paving the road for that, because like that opportunity was never even in my head at all when I was in my float tube. I didn't even have the slightest chance or clue that I was going to be able to fish in a bass event. And it's just exciting, man. Like a lot of guys say, like, you know, how long are you going to stay in a kayak for? Have you ever thought about getting in the bass boat scene? Like, dude, the bass boat scene to me, don't get me wrong, I would love to fish the Elite Series and go for it like that, no doubt. But going into a bass boat now, like I just have zero desire now that I'm in my kayak because of the way that the kayak scene is, the family orientation around it, the friendships, the competitiveness, the money, the platform that it gives, you know, normal guys like myself and Alex and you guys. And, you know, we're all just, for the most part, average Joes that love fishing, and kayak bass fishing has given us a platform now to go above and beyond anything we've ever expected out of a plastic boat. And there's just no desire in me at all to get into a bass boat now. I mean, I have a bow mount trolling motor. I have an HGS Live 7. I'm trying to put the new active target on my boat. Like, I don't need to go 60 miles an hour. Personally, I think it's a lot harder and a little bit more of a challenge to go on a huge lake like Clear Lake in Gunnersville and go pick apart that lake in a kayak. Like,
Yeah.
I think that's more of a challenge than having the luxury of going 60, 70 miles an hour in a bass boat and having that big platform and taking the picture of the fish and stuff like that. So, sorry, Josh, I get a little bit passionate and I get on that
man.
tangent, but man, I just love it, dude.
You're fine, and I'm kind of the same way. Like I love the bass. I come from bass boat side, and I loved it. And don't get me wrong, when I put in at a lake and there's a bass boat tournament going on and I can smell those motors, you know, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh man, that's and Alex, you know what I'm talking about. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
you did it, and I mean, and then I'll watch him blast off, and you know, like I'm fishing a spot that I've been looking at it and thinking, man, this is gonna be the spot, and you're not catching them. You're like, man, it'd be so easy to fire that gas motor up and run down the lake and get on something. And you know, I used to have milk runs, man, in a bass boat, and you know, you figured out the timing, or you got a stretch of bank with I don't know, 20 different docks, and you hit them, you know, and you run down another bank and you hit them, and you do that circle all day long for the next day or two during the tournament. In a kayak, it's a little different, you know, like you're like, man, if I run all the way up into that cove right there, it's gonna take me, you know, a little while. So there it goes, time fishing, you know. But something about the kayaking side that I've loved is it's actually made me a better angler, and I've been able to dissect more water and learn how to dissect more water because you got to catch them where you're at. You know, and I've learned a lot with it. So now when I actually take a boat out, I stay in a spot a little bit longer, and I fish a little bit longer in that area, you know, than I would in a bass boat when I run to that one dock and I don't get a bite and I take off running. You know, you learn so much more
Yeah.
in a kayak, and I will. I mean, I love both, and I miss the smell. I miss the speed of a bass boat.
Yeah.
But I missed the blast off, like racing other boats. That was the funnest part of me, man. I've always loved that. But
And Josh, one more thing before we maybe hop off soon, but
Yeah.
man, the fact that you guys came out with those bow mount mounts for the Bonafide at least, and for the native, and I know you got a bunch coming, but dude, that was that was ingenious of you guys. And honestly, when I first saw it, I'm like, dang it, you know, like, because I it's just like literally, like, when I put it on my boat, I was like, man, this is like really well made and it's perfect. It's exactly what the market needed, and I just want to commend you guys for that. You guys did a great job innovating that and thinking about that, and then, you know, selling that too, because I don't know, it's just a cool product, man, and I want to give you some credit. So
I
I think it's awesome.
we really appreciate that. And I tell you, you know, I'm not going to say I take credit. I don't like taking a lot of credit for which James is, you know, when it comes to it, he's such a mastermind when it comes to designing. We'll sit there and talk about it, and I'm like, James, I got an idea here. You know, let's shoot for this. You know, let's see what we can do with this. And James is like, all right, yeah, I see it. And then he'll start designing, and I might throw an idea, or somebody else might throw an idea, and then it'll come to life. But James really makes it come to life. We just kind of talk about
James, good job, man. It's friggin' epic.
it. Yeah, and we talked about it. We're like, man, we need a bow mount plate, or we need a stern mount plate, and he'll start designing it and getting the idea, and I'm like, well, maybe we can do this. But when it comes down to it, to making it functional, and knowing what products are out there on the market to make something functional, he's the man when it comes to that.
Yeah.
Like
when I took that job at Kayak Fishing Supplies, the owner Brent Torgerson's like, all right, what kind of companies or what products do you think we need to make the shop better and rigging stuff better and stuff? And first thing I told him is one objective, man.
Oh, man, I really appreciate it. And he just got his order in last week, and like I say,
awesome.
We're excited to be working with them, and because like I say, we sell a lot in California. And to have a dealer over there that is as big as them, man, it means a lot, and it couldn't happen without you. So
I'm excited about it too, man. I mean, it's kind of like a dream thing for me, dude. If I could somehow, everyone's dream, I feel like, is to somehow fish for a living, but fishing for a living maybe is a little bit too hard. But if you can find other ways to get into the industry that allows you to fish more, and for myself, that might be some sort of social media marketing for a few different companies, and that's kind of like where I'm trying to go with it. But it's just been a blast, man. This year is exciting. We got a lot of cool things coming out and new things coming up, and like the ABA, and me working at Kayak Fishing Supplies, seeing where that goes, and running a podcast with my best friend Alex. And man, it's just gonna be a fun year, dude. And I appreciate you having us on the show too, man. It's been fun and good. So
yeah, and I appreciate you guys. I want Chris said we got one more question real quick, and then we're gonna let you guys go.
As Claywell says, has fishing out of a kayak made you a better fisherman?
Go ahead,
yeah,
Alex.
Absolutely. I've been kind of on the fence about fishing as a co-angler in some of the bigger events out west for the last few years, and instead of doing the co-angler on the FLW and some other circuits, I've picked up kayak bass fishing, and you hit it right on the head where you have to pick apart water that you can't just get up and go from, so you might as well figure out how to get those fish to bite. And sometimes you have to kind of force feed them a little bit more, or just give them a different presentation or whatever it is. But it definitely makes you a better angler. So going back to being a co-angler on the back of a bass boat, you're also kind of in that same situation where the pro is going to get up and go whenever he wants to, but you're on the back end of the boat, and you've got everything behind the boat, and you got to figure out how to make those fish eat too. So I'm kind of looking forward to kind of translating some of those skills from being on the front of a boat, going to a kayak, now going to the back of a boat, and tournament fishing. But I think it definitely makes you a better angler. And I think that a lot of guys, whether their ultimate goal is to go into the kayak scene from a boat, or if you just want to get better as an angler, go get yourself a plastic boat, a kayak, paddle, whatever it is, and slow yourself down and fish, and then jump to the front of your bass boat and jump in those tournaments. You're going to start fishing every area with just this new perspective. So I think definitely to answer Clay's question, yes, it does make you a better angler.
Yeah, that's a good question.
I feel like too, like kind of pinging off that real quick is like one of the biggest things that I'm going to give Alex credit that he taught me this year is really breaking down a map and doing a ton of research before you get out on the water, especially in a tournament scene. You got to really dial in your spot, and you got to break down almost the lake before you get there, because you don't have much time to practice. You don't have time to move around on the water once you're there. So I think what made me a better angler that goes off of kayak fishing is like having to break down the maps and do a lot of research before even getting to the lake, just because of the fact that we can't go 60, 70 miles an hour when we're there checking different spots out. We got to be pretty precise by the time we get to the lake,
Yeah, most definitely. That's a good question and good answers, guys. I really appreciate it. And like I say, I appreciate you guys coming on and talking with us. It's been a pleasure talking with you guys and kind of digging into y'all's brains and what y'all love about fishing and podcasting, and I hope that y'all's podcast keeps growing. I think if y'all stay on track of what you're doing and staying consistent, y'all will have great success in the podcast and stuff, and keep up the good work. I've listened to a couple of them, and they've been good. So Keep it up, man.
Thanks, Josh.
And looking forward to seeing y'all grow, man, and seeing this ABA thing grow, and like I say, just seeing how things go in California this year.
Yep, same here. Thank you. I appreciate you having us on, and looking forward to maybe be back on the show later in the year or something. But man, it's been fun, and I'm sure we'll be talking tomorrow or something. So thanks, man. I appreciate you.
Man, y'all have a good one, and talk to y'all later.
All right.
You too. Thanks.
See ya. Bye. All right. Well, that was a good interview. That was, I wanted to talk more podcasts with them, but like I say, with them being so new to it, it's tough to go in and dig deep into too many questions because they haven't experienced so much with it yet. So I do appreciate them coming on. They got a great show. Go check them out. Bass Thumbs Fishing Podcast on all your podcast applications. When it Podbean and iTunes and all that stuff. So I don't know why I keep saying Podbean. It's like, I guess it was so new to me that I never even know that was out there. So that comes to my mind every time I talk about it. But anyways, it was fun having them on. It was fun having guys on that's podcasting, and talk fishing podcasts. And, like Josh talking about, he's like, man, I'm not that great, but he said he loves getting there and he learns, you know what I mean? Yeah. And I'm the same way. I don't think I'm not Jody Queen. I'm not, Casey Reed and all them level, and I think I could be if I got out there and fish more, but I'm not at that level to where I can fish all the time like them guys do and stay on the water and stay consistent and all that. So I mean, I know when we used to do bass fishing, the bass boat tournaments, and I was on the water a lot, I was able to do a lot better and be more consistent. But like I said, we're not on that level, and Josh was talking about that. It was great hearing that, and but he loves fishing so much. He wants to learn it, and he wants to get better at it. So there's no other way to do it but surround yourself with it. So out on the water and talking about it all the time. You live and breathe it. So, but yeah, so it was a great show. I really had a good time talking to everybody. We're getting back on our normal routine. I'm going to clean this studio up, and I'm going to get some more stuff in here, some more cool stuff on the walls and all that. But before we let everybody go, I want to just ask you guys, go over to One Objective, sign up for our newsletter. You'll get all our latest shows when they're coming out, all our new videos, new products. All our newest products are going to go on our newsletter. But also go to our YouTube channels, hit the subscribe button. We haven't come out with a video in a couple days. I got one. I need to finish up and get it on there. It's a quick video, but it's something that needs to be done before the tournament season, I think, when it comes to rod care. So plan on getting that one up here soon. Guys, we got some new products that are going to be hitting the market here in the next, I'm going to say 2 to 3 weeks, but I'm hoping here in the next week or two, but more likely 2 to 3 weeks. Anyways, we're going to have those coming out soon. We got a lot that's in the works for 2021. I think this is going to be a great year for everyone, whether it's the guys out there just kayak fishing, tournament fishing, or guys that are in the industry. I just think it's going to be a great year. Looking forward to 2021. I know times are crazy, but, I push myself away from the news a little bit. Every once in a while I look at it, but I push myself away from the news, try not to dwell on the negativity and just worry about catching another bass. Chris, I haven't even caught, which you haven't either because you ain't gone fishing. I haven't caught a bass in 2021 yet. I haven't caught my first 2021 bass.
I ain't caught one since July.
Good God, man. How do you make it? Well, you ain't been able to fish too much, though.
Yeah.
With work and y'all got, you're gonna be getting married here soon, man. So you're working on that stuff right
October.
now. Yeah, October. I'm glad y'all didn't do that during spawn, because I'd have been kind of aggravated with you. You know what I mean? I'm just kidding. I'm happy for you, man, and I'm happy you're gonna be getting married and you found a good woman. But yeah, I'm glad you didn't do it during spawn, because that's a tough time for me. But other than that, man, guys, I appreciate y'all tuning in with us tonight. I had a good time. I'm really sorry for the sounds at the beginning. We're going to work on that here in a little while and see if we can get that to go away, the annoying sound. I can't hear it on my end. Do you hear it at all, Chris?
No, I never hear it.
So
I hear it when I listen on the iPad, but not during the
yeah, so I don't know what that's all about. But we're going to try to get rid of that, guys. But other than that, y'all have a great weekend, great week. Stay safe. Weather's going to be getting bad around here soon, so stay safe, and like I say, share those fishing pictures and your One Objective rigged out boat. So talk to you later, guys. See ya.
See ya.